Welcome to the first episode of the Dapper Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Ryan. With me, we have Tyler and Jeff. Or as I like to call him, Jeffrin.
It's plural.
Yeah, I know, that's plural.
So
but
there's multiple of me.
Multiple Jeffs?
there's multiple
it's
Jeffrin.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
They have a funny run cycle. Only Jeff and I understand this. There's a lot of inside jokes going on right now, and Tyler's just like, I don't understand.
If there's more than one Jeff in a group, it's a Jeffrin, and then when that group runs, they run on all fours.
Yeah,
If there's just one of us, we run two leg. But
yes, it's excellent. So I guess this is the very first episode, so we should kind of explain who we are. So I'm Ryan. I run the Dapper Gaming organization that no one knows of because this is a new thing. Our site's not up yet. I haven't finished it. But it's mostly just gonna consist of video content, so you can watch all the content because it's on this channel. So Dapper Gaming is kind of my brainchild to do like a review site and news site that's mostly video based with a bunch of friends, maybe do some editorial work, and really just kind of give my perspective on gaming because every other site I think is wrong. Well, not wrong, but doesn't share my view. They're a little wrong. The big ones are really, really wrong. But yeah, so it's kind of just like my brainchild. I've been gaming for a very long time. I guess I would have started when I was like 4 years old. And I started with the Sega Genesis, and Sonic and Streets of Rage were probably my first two games. And then I played a lot of Age of Empires 1 and 2. And that's kind of what got me into PC gaming. And then with the release of Half-Life 1, that's pretty much like when I started playing PC games exclusively, except for maybe a while with the Xbox generation. I play a lot of retro games still. Like I own my N64. I have a Genesis in storage that I need to get out so I can play it. I'm working on getting a SNES because that's fun shit.
Working on it.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I need to get enough money, and I need to find one. They're expensive.
Really?
Yeah, SNESes,
Yeah.
working SNESes, they're hard to get. Well, they're not hard to get. They're expensive unless
Just
you
to be
like
clear,
shop
they're
around.
harder than a net. And yes,
Purple and the purple and gray one, right?
Yeah,
That's what we're talking
yeah.
about. Okay.
The second one,
Just clarifying.
Super Nintendo.
it's the shit. Well, actually, I like the Genesis more, but I'm a Sega kid.
Yeah.
Sega Channel, that thing was fucking awesome. Way ahead of its time, by the way. Like you couldn't explain how far ahead Sega Channel was. You could fucking stream games over cable.
What?
Yeah, you paid like a subscription fee, and you could just play games over your cable.
Wow. When did that come out?
In the 90s, when the
Wow.
Genesis was still a thing.
It's like mid '90s. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, think of that shit.
Mine just got blown. I'll be back in a little bit.
The Dream, dude, all the consoles except for the Saturn were way ahead of its time. Like
Oh,
Genesis
yeah.
was way ahead of its time. Dreamcast was the first online console.
Jesus, dream, guys.
They had online multiplayer.
Yeah, it had a web browser, I think, built in.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
There was a screen in the fucking controller,
Yeah.
and you could play games on the memory cartridge.
Just the memory cartridge. You pop it out, and it had like a Game Boy
Yeah,
D-pad, like AP button.
yeah. It was the shit. It was so far ahead of everything. Yeah, so now I actually, in my current form, all I do is play PC games, and I play Wii U games because that thing's fun when you have friends over. And that's my That's why I own a console to play with friends. So, not this online bullshit. I got a PC for that.
Yeah.
I mostly play FPS, and my favorite genre would probably be RPGs. But there's not a lot of great RPGs.
Favorite one? That's a...
Okay, I can tell you my favorite game of all time. It is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. And it is a RPG based on World of Darkness, which is my favorite, like, pen and paper, so. That guy knows what's up. It is badass. I like talking to Tyler's roommates when they're in the background and they can't hear me.
They can't.
I just incorporate what they're saying.
They'll watch it later. They'll know
watch it later. No.
I'll make them. No.
They won't watch it. No one's gonna watch it. So Tyler, how'd you start?
First game system I played was NES. I wasn't really like, I don't know, too aware of it because I was pretty little when I played it. I mostly watched my dad play it, but that kind of fueled that whole interest. I think the first console we owned was a Sega console. I think it was the Genesis. Did that come out before the Saturn?
Yeah, it was the one before the Saturn. The Saturn was the really shit one.
Then we had a Genesis. Sonic was a big game. I remember playing. Like my whole family liked it.
Dude, Sonic and Knuckles. That was the shit.
Well, I played Sonic and Knuckles on the PC actually. Like I think I only played the first one or two maybe, and then I know like playing Knuckles on the PC at a friend's house like way later. But
just like emulated. I don't think they released it until like a couple years ago. So.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd have to check on that. Maybe I'm just spewing bullshit, but what really got me into gaming though was the GameCube. I kind of skipped the 64. I played, but didn't really have a lot of games for it. And when we did have one, it was close to when the GameCube got released. So that fueled it. Melee was probably my favorite game for all my years growing up. Melee and 007 Nightfire. Really like 007 Nightfire really sparked my interest for shooters because I think it might have been one of the first I actually like got really competitive about with my friends, not obviously like in a competitive scene, but I like getting better, knowing the maps and all the guns and stuff. So I don't know, that was really fun. And right now I just play PC games. I don't really play console games. If I play console games, then I'm usually playing like sports games or racing games. Just cause I don't know, just cause I like a controller better for those games. But I don't know, shooters feel good on PC. I play Counter-Strike, and I guess most of the shooters that get released for consoles don't really suit me because I like really smaller games. I realized after playing Battlefield, I don't really care for it as much, just for the amount of people. So yeah.
Yeah, but like with a smaller FPS like Counter-Strike, where it's 5v5, you can like it's a little more competitive. You don't get like screwed over as frequently. Where like just some guy that you never saw kills you.
Right.
I think there's a lot more skill in it too.
Yeah.
I believe that too. The precision is perfect because that's one game where you can't spray and you have to tap, shoot, and you have to kind of like plan your shots out a little better than holding down your trigger and just shooting. So I like the skill level in it and kind of seeing the difference in it. Like playing against I started playing this in like middle school, so it was quite a while ago, and once I hit Source, that was probably the game that actually sparked my PC interest. So ever since Source, I played that mostly, and then I got into Team Fortress 2. So this is the smaller team-based FPS is what got me into gaming more. So
yeah, TF2 is pretty awesome. My issue with it now is that like after it went free to play, they just implemented the matchmaking and it killed all the custom servers.
Yeah,
because there were some really amazing custom servers that had a lot of really great maps.
Yeah, I remember those days of playing that. I tried to get in the competitive scene of that, but like never really went anywhere.
There's no point. The competitive scene in TF2 is fucking stupid.
Yeah, I was interested in it just for the fact that I played like I played in a team for Counter-Strike. I mean, it was probably when we started to know each other, and I wasn't really that good, but I liked having like an organized team. But Team Fortress 2 was just not that game for me. So, but yeah, I can see the matchmaking kind of ruined it too because in Counter Strike you can instantly get a matchmaking game going, and it takes you to a server right away rather than browsing a server which has all those custom matches, all those custom maps, which were really cool to play because gun game is stupid without those maps. It's the ones they made are
the
like
ones in Global Offensive aren't very good.
they're sufficient for like getting you kind of like
Familiar with it.
right, which is good, but then when you get like the cell shaded maps and all the texture maps, man,
The
that's
texture
where it
maps are the
was.
shit, where they're like
Yeah.
just totally textureless. They're just like white and orange boxes, and you're like, yeah.
Numbers, yeah, and everyone like would look at me and be like, "Well, why are you playing that?" I'm like, "It's not for like the looks; it's more for the gameplay. Like when you like all the mods with all the sounds and everything, you just get really immersed in it. So that's, I mean, Counter Strike
Yeah.
was what just
Like it really built up a community, but you can't really
Yeah.
build those communities with the matchmaking in Source games now, and
Right.
that kind of
It's-
sucks.
is too bad because
Sure.
there were some really cool communities back then. But
Yeah,
that-
like the
they're
server
still
browser's
existing.
still there, but I mean,
It's a way people.
no one uses it. Everyone just uses matchmaking because it's easier, and so like it's so hard to like find a community that isn't huge. Like titties and beer, they're huge.
Yeah.
You'll always find them. But like, I mean, when I started up like Riptide Gaming and Dapper Gaming initially, when they were supposed to be like Counter Strike communities, it wasn't gonna happen, and it just because it's so hard to like get that going with only 10 people. Like it takes years.
Yeah, and plus with all the changes they made too, it kind of just made it even harder.
Yeah,
So-
the matchmaking makes it almost impossible to start a community. Like it
Yeah.
almost is worth playing just with friends, but because it's so hard to start up a community, it's so hard to like make, I guess, friends online, if that makes sense. Like the
Yeah,
people who are on my Steam list are people that I played with in my initial community that I played with, mostly for Counter Strike, or like people I know in real life, or Tyler.
Yeah, it's I get that whole I play competitive, like those competitive matchmaking at least on Counter Strike, and you get all those people that just add you for friends to play Counter Strike, and I get like a billion people messaging me. I'm like I play more than just this. I just play it to have fun. It's like, but people that like, I don't know. There's no community based on it. It's just like let's get together and play this game, rather than let's shoot the shit and play this game. It's more of like down to brass tacks, and it's not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically how I got into gaming, what I play now and what I do. I guess for Dapper Gaming, I might look at making videos if I can, getting my desktop up at school and then start recording stuff. Probably be a lot of gameplay, but I might look into doing walkthroughs maybe of some games I like or reviews. So it's still up in the air for me.
So Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I started gaming probably in the early 90s with the original NES. First game I ever played was Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
Oh
I've
shit!
never talked to somebody who remembers that game, but that is still like my favorite platformer. From there, I skipped kind of straight to the N64 and played a lot of GoldenEye, a lot of Smash Brothers. Loved that. And then my first introduction to online gaming, I think, was StarCraft. I remember dial-up modem, this old like white basic Windows computer, and we're like, dude, we can play online with this modem. So we go into the dial-up, like, nobody pick up the phone, we're using the internet.
Dude,
Log in, played one game.
that is me, and Age of Empires 2.
That was a crazy experience. I didn't even think it was possible. Like, my brothers would set it up, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm playing with this other guy I've never met over the internet. I was like, what the fuck? From there, anyways, I moved into Xbox. I played a ton of Xbox games. That was like the first console that I bought because I wanted it and was playing
Do you remember
daily.
Far Cry Instincts?
Vaguely, I never bought it. I had a couple friends who owned it. That was
Best
the-
Xbox game.
Yeah, that was the shooter you could do map making in.
Yeah.
I loved that.
The map making in
or-
that game was amazing, and it was so. I remember that game being like just absolutely gorgeous. Even the version on 360, I still think it looks better than. I remember it looking better than Halo 4.
Wow.
It probably doesn't, like fidelity wise, but because like it's like this really thick forest and like all this, the water was really nice. The water, the sand, and the forest was all really nice. Like there was lots of color in the game, so like it's so the opposite of every FPS now. But
You mean all the grays and the whites? There's no blue or green anymore.
there's a lot of brown.
Yeah, everything's brown. Anyways, around the same time I got my Xbox, I started actually making video games for fun. Just like little indie things, you know. I was like 12 or something when I made my first one, so they're not particularly good.
We should
But
play He-Man.
oh god, I might make a video on that once, just 'cause it's hilarious.
It is. It's amazing.
I tried a lot of just different games, like really weird concepts, and eventually moved into working on trying to create online first-person shooters, so like Counter-Strike style games, which is a lot harder than I expected it to be. Nowadays, I'm taking software engineering in university, and I'm actually trying to get into making video games for a living. So I'm getting pretty close, and it's definitely a ridiculous field, and it's really cool to work in. Gaming-wise, I moved into PC sort of after about a year on my 360. I didn't really like the 360 that much. Generally, I think StarCraft 2 was my first big game on PC. I played that for like 2 years. I play a lot of top-down RTS, MOBA games, that sort of thing. A good amount of FPSs and RPGs. And these days, it's usually just a lot of whatever multiplayer game I currently fancy, just like years at a time.
Yeah, when I met Jeff, I tried to get him into PC gaming, but he decided to buy a Mac instead of building a desktop. And then like a year and a half later, he built a desktop.
Yeah, you're right.
He bought a Mac, and then he played StarCraft 2 on it, and then he built a desktop.
And then I realized I could install Windows on my Mac and StarCraft 2 would run better,
Yeah.
just with a different operating system. And I was like, oh shit, I fucked up.
All of Jeff's Macs have broken in like a year or two, which is the
Yeah.
best part.
Oh yeah. It was like, one of them broke, I think, a month after my warranty ran out. I was like, shit, and the other one broke a month before it ran out. It's weird. It's almost like they plan for it to break as soon as the warranty runs out.
Just break it before it does.
But
Okay.
I think that's because I'm playing video games on them and like actually melting components.
Yeah, you're like doing something with them.
Yeah,
They're not
that's
just web
bad.
browsers. There's something weird going on there.
No, I've moved completely to Windows now. I don't really want to buy another Apple product. Not a PC, anyways.
So, what have you guys been playing this week?
Wanna go, Jeff?
Sure. I recently moved. I haven't had internet for the past week, so I've just been playing Borderlands 2 co-op on Xbox with my older brother. And despite what I was told that it's a terrible game and completely unbalanced, I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I'm usually underleveled because I've got to go to school for like 8 hours. So I come back, my brother's like 3 levels ahead of where we left off. So I'm finding it's actually a really fun game. I'm enjoying the characters, but I can see how a lot of people wouldn't enjoy the sense of humor in the game.
Yeah, but you're also playing it with your brother.
Yeah, that's true.
If you were playing it by yourself, you'd probably be like, fuck this game. Because it's okay, no, the game is perfectly balanced for playing with 2 people. The
Yeah.
game plays perfectly well with 2 people. Playing it by yourself, it's fucking too hard unless you're commando because of the bosses. If you're commando,
My brother's playing it as Zero, the assassin character, and he plays quite a bit by himself when I'm not there because he doesn't do anything these days.
yeah, but it's the bosses that are fucked up for
Yeah.
playing with Zero because they have infinitely spawning fucking minions.
Well, he hasn't had any trouble with it while I'm not there though, so I'm not
Okay.
sure. And we're on an Xbox without internet connection. It's the first time we run the game, so we don't even have any of the patches or anything that have come out.
Okay, well, I've had terrible trouble with Zero because of balance for some of the bosses because of just like infinitely spawning fucking guys. But like the game's not designed to be played with one person, and then with 3 and 4 people, they like scale up the enemies too much, Not that the enemies are too hard with 3 or 4 people. They just take for fucking ever. They're really grindy.
Do you get better drops though if you play with more than 2 people? I think they did that in the first one, where the more people you had, the better drops you got, which was like an incentive to do that.
Yeah,
Well,
I think they do that.
Because you still got the same amount of loot, right? They're not like, hey, each character drops 4 guns. It's each character drops 1 gun. But because you have 4 people, I think they scale up the drops. So when you do get a drop, it's usually...
Well, everyone gets their own loot.
Or
no, they don't. Not in Borderlands 2, I'm sorry. There's parts of it that they do.
Yeah. You split the money, like the money evenly, but the ammo and the weapons, I believe you have to fight for.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sprinting towards the boss who just died and spamming the pickup button. Just for fun, actually. It's like Diablo.
Diablo 2, not that casual broken piece of shit called Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Worst game of the year. Not the worst game of the year.
No.
I played worse games than Diablo 3. It's just shitty in comparison to Diablo 2.
It's the biggest disappointment of the year.
That's true. Medal of Honor was worse than Diablo 3. I played that.
I didn't want to touch that.
I played it in preparation of a Game of the Year podcast. I played it and I was like, trust me, it's awful. No one else had played it.
Don't even pick it up.
Don't touch it. Not with a fucking 6-foot pole. It's awful.
Alright. Tyler, what have you been playing this week?
Minecraft and a lot of casual games. I haven't had a lot of time. Just got back to school, so kind of just adjusting to that. But Hotline Miami, I have actually started again. Yeah,
so good.
It sucks. I started on my desktop, and I don't know if that doesn't have sync or what, but I had to restart it over on my laptop, and that's why then. But that's not really that big of a deal because I like that game, so I don't mind starting over. It's a lot of fun. I was told to play with a controller originally. I talked to one of my friends on campus, and he said that
it's way easier with the mouse because you need really precise, like, shooting and really precise melee. Like, your aiming has to be really goddamn precise in that game because everyone's small, everyone moves incredibly fucking fast.
Yeah. And I don't know, the way you do that with a controller is really weird because, like, he's like, well, once you get the lockdown on, it's like it's easier to maneuver, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it because I have a controller and whatever. But
is there a lockdown function? What, I don't understand what it is.
You know, like, I don't know if it's like GTA where like you lock onto an enemy, you basically just shoot at their chest. It's similar to that, and I'm pretty sure it's with the controller. I think you press one of the sticks down, that as default configuration. You just press a stick down and you lock onto a target.
Can you do that on the keyboard? Because I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, you know what I didn't know was a thing is that you could look farther. For the longest time, I didn't know you could look farther.
It tells you in the tutorial.
I sped through that. I was like, I don't need to do this tutorial. Yeah, that was a mistake. And I'm getting shot halfway across the map from guys with shotguns. I'm like, because that makes sense. And then, one of the masks, it's the giraffe. It's kind of decently far into the game too. They're like, I can look farther. I'm like, what does that mean? And then,
the giraffe mask is maybe the best mask because it lets you basically see the whole floor.
That's true. I like using the I think it's the dog mask. You run faster.
Oh, that one's pretty good too. I like the mole mask. Is it the one that turns off all the lights?
I haven't gotten that far yet. Does that just like reduce reaction time to enemies, or?
I don't know what it does. It turns off all the lights and then the level's red and fucking just looks awesome.
Oh.
You just do it for aesthetics. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, because you got like that bumping Swedish music and you're like, in the dark, running around murdering people, their blood flying everywhere.
So it just turns into a rave, right?
Yeah, it turns into a murderous rave. It's awesome.
That's one game I don't mind sitting back for like a little bit, like putting the text into my phone and listening to the music. I'm like, yeah, I can deal with this. It does have awesome soundtrack.
That soundtrack's like one of the best soundtracks ever. It was probably soundtrack of the year.
I'd agree with that. It's really unique and it fits the game too.
I think
when you wake up in bed though every morning, that song that plays at the beginning of that freaks me out. I do not like that. It's such a weird sound. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not bad, but yeah.
When talking about soundtracks, I think like the only other soundtrack off okay, there's two soundtracks off the top of my head that I think are comparable. Parts of the Adventure Time, Hey Ice King, Why Do You Steal Our Garbage soundtrack, totally up there with Hotline Miami. The problem with that soundtrack, the other half of it is shit. And then Dust Force. Dust Force kind of has like a really great soundtrack.
I played that a little bit, but I haven't really paid too much attention to that.
The soundtrack's like kind of ambient, but it's really good.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like a lot of games are missing better music, better soundtracks. Counter-Strike tried to implement one, and
that game should never have any music ever.
Shouldn't have music, no.
Not even on menus.
Nope. And I instantly turned that off. That was the most repetition. Oh.
Yeah, that's a game that should have no soundtrack whatsoever. They shouldn't even make one. Valve games should never have a soundtrack.
I think soundtracks
Maybe Half-Life.
Maybe Half-Life and Portal.
Yeah.
Because Portal, there's so much downtime.
Yeah, Portal fits, but
I think soundtracks really only work for like single-player games. You don't really want a multiplayer soundtrack.
yeah, especially with Counter-Strike where you're trying to be competitive about it.
Well, you're trying to listen for
the whole game
people's
is based
footsteps.
around fucking sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that game is so based around directional sound. It's fucking... They're like,
is
let's
great.
put some music in.
Yeah, let's just make this even harder, and let's make it so there's a glitch, so you think people are behind you 24/7, and not fix
Fuck
that.
that. That was the worst. Have they fixed that?
Oh yeah, apparently people like still get it. I don't know like if it's just their
Because they
audio.
have like stupid audio setups where they're like, I'm gonna use fucking surround sound with my headphones.
Yeah, I go at 7.1. I can hear anything on that map. I'm like, got stereo. I can hear just as much as you. Suck it, but
I like the people who put it on 7.1 with their fucking stereo headphones.
yeah.
And the people who put it on 7.1 when it's like virtual 7.1. They're like, I know what the fuck is up. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah, but aside from Hotline Miami, I don't really think I've been playing too much. I played a little bit of Castle Crashers yesterday. I've been trying to get Magicka to work for like a couple months now. It keeps crashing every time I launch it. So,
That game crashes all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
If you get it to work, we should fucking play it on stream one night.
definitely.
I've got
I'm
it
down
too,
for that.
actually.
Okay, shit. There's 3 of us. You know what we need to do? Dungeon Land comes out in 2 weeks. It comes out on the 22nd. You guys, yeah, it's from Paradox. It's like, okay, it's like Gauntlet, but it's a theme park, a medieval theme park that is ran by a dungeon master for like a D&D dungeon master, but he goes insane and he like tells all the employees to kill everyone. And
And they do
you're
it.
3 of the employees, and one of you is a mage, one of you is like dressed as a warrior, one of you is dressed as a rogue, and you have to like fight your way through the dungeon, like to the end, and like beat the dungeon master. But it's like Gauntlet. We should play that on stream. We should all buy it and play it. It's $10.
It's $10.
do
Yeah, it's $10.
I can. Do
I've
that.
played it. It's not even glitchy. For a Paradox
Really?
game, no bugs.
What else have they released besides Magicka? That's
Paradox are like they're a publisher, but
Yeah.
as far as games they develop grand strategy games.
okay.
Lots of grand strategy. But they did Magicka, they did War of the Roses, which is really good. I think they did a Crater, which is really good.
Yeah.
That's like it's like a Baldur's Gate style party based action RPG. God, what other stuff did they do? Paradox has done lots of stuff. I can't type on my keyboard because it's too loud, but
Quite a few games. I mean.
yeah, they've got more stuff coming out this year, besides Dungeon Land and Crater and War of the Roses.
Yeah, I'm definitely in for that though. I really liked Magicka. I got it.
Magic is really good for friends.
Yeah, we had it was a Steam sale way back, and there's 4 of us who picked it up, and it's fun. It's a little challenging, which is pretty cool. I think
Yeah, because you like fucking fireball your friends and they
Friends.
die.
in one hit on.
I- I absolutely love the combat system in that game.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember when I was making games earlier thinking about creating something that's nearly identical for ways to cast spells. I was like, that would be so much cooler because then you can just discover different combinations and stuff. And then I saw Magicka and I was just like, yeah,
Dude,
finally someone made it.
have you
It's a
played
little tricky on
Jeff?
the
Yeah.
controller.
Jeff, have you played Legend of Grimrock?
No, I've seen a lot on it though. It looks really good.
Yeah, because the magic in that, like, you can totally discover stuff because you have, like, a 3x3 square, and you can combine stuff.
Yeah, I've been playing that too this week. I started playing that again last night. And same thing, the sync didn't
Magic
work
in
on
that
it.
game is hard as shit.
Dude, it is, and it's kind of frustrating because you can't like.
Everything in that game is hard as shit, though. Like, it's like an old school. It's a very old school game, and the controls reflect that.
They were what?
The controls like reflect that it's an old school like dungeon crawler.
Yeah, it's really hard to just cast spells because I wish you could kind of store a spell on like a book or something and just instantly cast it.
I like
but
queue them up before I go into combat.
yeah, it's definitely a fun game. I started playing that. I made the mistake of doing pre-made party though on this playthrough, and they just gave me a junk party, so I might just restart it. But it's kind of funny because once you play it once, I kind of knew like where everything was again in the first beginning.
Once, like the one dungeon, like once you memorize everything, it's so much easier the second time because you're just like, here's the hidden sword.
But I really like the puzzles though. They're actually challenging. I haven't really seen a lot of like challenging puzzles like that for a while, so that was cool. I've gotten stuck billions of times, and I tried to play through that without looking up guides, but
I had to look up a guide for this one puzzle. It was the one with the dragon eyes.
Was that kind of like far in the game, or?
It's not that far. There's this puzzle to open up a door that has like that's a very obvious like door. You don't have to open it though, but there's obviously going to be stuff behind it. Like there's just a locked door, and you have to like move this fire into the correct place so that like these two dragons are looking at it.
Oh yeah,
the dragon statues.
Yeah, okay, I got to that. I didn't know how to do that one, so I just kind of passed on that. But
yeah. I couldn't. I had to look it up because I was like, there's these dragons here, and they're obviously for something, and there's this door. How the hell do you open this door? And they're like, oh, you stand on this tile and like do this, and then go this way, and it's like totally obscure. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like. But I like the fact that they have those like scrolls in the game where you can pick them up and read them, and they give you hints about how to solve puzzles too. That's a really cool, like, I don't know. I mean,
that original dungeon's just done so well, and now that it has the dungeon maker, and it's a Steam Workshop game, so you just download them. You just sub to them in the workshop.
Yeah, I absolutely love that system.
Steam Workshop is amazing.
It's awesome. Because coming from playing Oblivion.
Yeah, it made the mod scene for Skyrim, and it made the mod scene for like a lot of other games.
Seriously, modding was such a pain in the ass on Oblivion. And keeping track of
it was terrible.
I mean, it's worth it because that game became amazing. I mean, it was good to begin with, but
Nexus Manager was like the only thing that you could really use for Oblivion. Same thing with Fallout 3. But even that was finicky at times. It wasn't a great installer. It was just great for keeping track of what you had already installed.
Right. Yeah, because I had to reformat, I think, my desktop, and I lost all my mods. And like, you can't play your characters. Like, I kept my characters, but I didn't take the mods with me. So
you can't play them.
Yeah, because it's like, well, some mods change the whole gameplay. I'm like, I'll just try it without it. Didn't work, but yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So modding's always been a pain, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
There's some games that are just totally worth it though, like Thief, like a lot of older games that are just kind of classics that have really great mod scenes, and even their mod scenes don't even necessarily add mods; they just fix the game so that it like still runs. Like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the guys who made that game patched it all the way up until like 2008, even though their studio closed down in like 2004.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's just like 100 unofficial patches for that game.
Sweet.
Shit, what did I play this week? I've been playing Witcher 2 because I'm gonna beat that shit. Really good. I'm enjoying that a lot.
It's a good game.
And I've been playing Dark Souls because I was just like, I have so much time, I'm gonna fucking play Dark Souls again, even though I rage quitted it, like, the second it came on PC. I bought it, played it for a day, and was like, fuck this shit. And then I decided to play it again, and I was like, this shit's easy. Why'd I rage quit? Well, the obvious reason why is that at the beginning I went left instead of right, and I was going down to Blight Town, fighting shit that's hard as hell, with no equipment, instead of going to the right and fighting easy undead hollows for goddamn half an hour. So, whereas I was getting one-shotted by the easiest mobs available on the path to Blight Town, I'm now getting, like, 10-shotted by the easiest mobs available on the way to, the first bell.
Yeah, I've been wanting to pick that game up just to see, because
It's really good, but you need a controller.
Yeah,
You can play it with keyboard and mouse, but, I mean, it's infuriating.
yeah.
You need, like, the directional movement, that's why. 8 directions isn't enough for that game. But now that I'm, like, playing it the right way, as in, like, going to the right, because that game doesn't hold your hand. They're even, like, you can go left or you can go right. The thing is that the right path is kind of hidden. And they tell you right away that, like, you can go left or you can go right, but they don't, like, tell you which way to go. And if you just go forwards, then you end up going left and you die. So, you die a lot.
They're neat.
But isn't there like penalties for dying though? Or
No, not really.
Okay.
I think it just sets you back.
Yeah, there's not a lot of save points. You have to find these, like, bonfires. And if you die, you, like, drop all your souls, which are your experience, because you have to go to a bonfire to level up. And so you lose all your experience. But if you can fight back to where you got to when you died, then you can get all that experience back by, like, recovering it from your corpse. Okay. But if you die before you get back, then all that experience is permanently lost.
It's a cool system.
And every time that you, like, go to a bonfire to save or level up, every monster in the game respawns except for bosses.
Oh shit.
So you can grind levels?
Yeah, you can grind levels. That game is based around grinding levels somewhat.
Okay.
Like, I grinded to level 5 before I even went up the path to the right.
Huh.
But the game's hard as shit. There's some shit that's kind of unintuitive about it.
Like what?
It's hugely timing based. Stuff that's unintuitive about it, just like where you're going. A lot of the stuff's hidden, and some of the items and things like that they don't really have, like, a use. Like, there's a pendant that you can, like, start the game off with, and it has and in the description it says this is the item that we recommend for first-time players, but it doesn't do anything. It absolutely does nothing. Has no stats, has no use, does absolutely nothing.
It depends. You can choose your difficulty in that game, can't you?
No, there's no difficulty settings.
Oh, I thought there was.
No, there's no difficulty settings in Demon Souls or Dark Souls. It's that people were flipping shit because there might be a difficulty setting in Dark Souls 2. But I think that the difficulty should be hard and then, like, impossible. Like,
Yeah,
they can't.
it should
the game
be the
is
base difficulty and then a harder difficulty.
yeah, because the game is about being hard. So, but I mean, Dark Souls has New Game Plus. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But very excellent game. It's probably better on PC than it's on any of the other. It's probably better on PC than any of the consoles, because on PC you don't have the frame drop issues that you have in Blight Town for Xbox 360 and PS3. Because those games, like, lag out in this one area that has a bunch of water, and it's unbearable, and it makes the game really hard to play. However, on PC, it looks like ass because it renders in 720p. But there's a community fix that makes the game look better than Skyrim, so... Yeah, there's, like, a little fix that you install, and it makes it render in 1080p.
That's weird.
And then there's, like, visual mods that make it look much better. So the game has the potential to look really great, but... Oh, and it uses games for Windows Live, which is the worst thing ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, that's not... I thought it was a Steam game.
It's on Steam, but it uses games for Windows Live for the networking code. The guys who made it have never made a PC game in their life. They're a Japanese dev, and the game originally... So, like, they just ported the Xbox version to PC, and so using, like, the games for Windows Live is the easiest
It's
way to do
easiest,
that because the networking code stays the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people were like majorly bitching about it, and yeah, the port was bad, but the ports. Okay, I can't say the port was bad. It was okay. The game runs exactly like it runs on all the consoles, except that because of the extra performance, you don't have the lag issues.
Yep.
So like, it's not a bad port, but it's not even okay. It's like
It's just a port. That's all it
Yeah.
is. Like it's as quick a port as they could come up with, because I'm sure they're devoting most of their team to the next game, right?
yeah. Plus, they never actually had budget, like room in the budget for making that port because they never intended to.
There was a petition for it, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a major petition for it. A lot of people wanted it really bad. And then a lot of people were instantly complaining the second that they said it was going to use games for Windows Live. And they're like, oh, it's going to be a bad port, blah, blah, blah. And they got all pissed off. And I was just like, I'm going to buy it because I want to play the game. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd whine about the games for Windows Live thing, because
it's majorly restrictive and it's
do you have
broken
to
as
have
hell.
do you have to have like a gold account
No.
to play online?
But if you... Okay, not as much of an issue if you live in Canada and the U.S. If you
Oh.
live in Mexico or any kind of third world country, or you live in like Eastern Europe, you can't even like run the game because the service has area restrictions, Jeff. And so if you live somewhere that
that
doesn't
shit.
have Xbox Live, or somewhere where they just decide like they don't sell this game on console, then you can't play it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like if you live in like Romania, you can't play the game.
I love them area restrictions.
Yeah.
Like
Aren't they
not
fucking
even
awesome?
not even offline.
Not even offline. You have to pirate the game to like get it to run. And they're like,
Well, you
these
have to
areas
pirate
have huge piracy rates, and it's like, well, yeah, obviously, because you
Because
don't
they
let them
can't
run the
run
game any
the
other
game.
way.
They can't pay you for it, so they're just gonna pirate it.
Like Xbox Live isn't in a lot of countries that have like a very large, well, an issue with credit card fraud. So like you can't get in like Brazil and shit, but as a result, you can't play games that have games for Windows Live either.
Okay. I don't really care about games for Windows Live. That's it.
Yeah, it's retarded,
It's-
and it doesn't work right, and it does some like really intrusive shit that is not fun when you're playing a game, like just popping up with people from Xbox and you're like, oh dude, you play this game? And you're like, yes, I play it. Please leave me alone. I'm trying to play the game.
Is Grand Theft Auto 5 supposed to use that? Because I know 4 did.
I don't know. I don't even care. I'm not even. Here's how GTA 5. This works really nicely into the next topic. Games we're looking forward to in 2013. So here's the thing about GTA 5. I didn't think GTA 4 was very good. In fact, I thought it was bad. At least the base game. The base game was bad. The Ballad of Gay Tony was good. The issue with GTA 4 took itself way too seriously. It was just boring.
Yeah.
But GTA 5, if it isn't boring, if it doesn't take itself so goddamn seriously, if it decides to be like a little more zany, kind of like all the other ones, then I'll like it. Like the reason why I like Saints Row the Third,
Yeah.
is that it doesn't take itself seriously. 1 and 2 took itself too seriously for Saints Row, but the third is just like crazy,
It's
and
just
that makes
ridiculousness, and it's awesome.
those open world games really good.
Yeah.
So like GTA's got to do two things. It's got to either make a really great combat system like Sleeping Dogs, where you can do lots of interesting things, or it's got to be just crazy like Saints Row, or
And
better. Both of those things.
I feel like it's not going to do the crazy thing coming from the trailers you've seen and
No,
the
it's not.
screenshots
It's
we've
gonna be
seen.
serious as shit.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I didn't play it for the story because
The story
eh,
sucks.
Yeah. I played it for the swing set glitch, mostly. Let's be honest here. It's the best glitch
Yeah,
in game
that was
history,
amazing.
probably. Hours on that swing set. But, I mean, I basically got that game to fuck around in the world and do whatever I wanted, but it was pretty limited compared to, like, I never played San Andreas or any of the other ones. And, like, coming from those, I've heard a lot of better things about them, being more free roaming. But,
Yeah, they're better open world games because they're not as restrictive. You know, they're
And-
actually open world, unlike GTA 4.
yeah.
I'm actually excited for GTA 5 just because I think it's going to be really cool technically.
Oh, the
Like-
size of the world's huge.
The reason I enjoyed GTA 4 was not to do with the story, it was not to do with the combat. Like that game was boring to me, but the cool part was playing with the physics engine and looking at the graphics and riding around and being like, how the hell is this running on my console? Because I played it on
Yeah.
my console. I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
That
Yeah.
was an awesome looking game on the console. Like I was
The
almost
PC version's amazing. If you've ever seen any of the mods,
okay. I've
Yeah.
seen those mods that they have like with the shaders. They look pretty sick. But
there's a mod that I saw the other day that made it like all the cars look fucking real.
yeah,
I was just like,
that guy does, or it might be a team. They do shaders for like Minecraft and stuff too that make Minecraft look unbelievable. It's pretty. They do a lot of other games too.
yeah,
yeah.
you like can't run them, but they look amazing. You can download them and try.
well,
I mean-
it's Minecraft though. The Minecraft ones,
Even the Minecraft one's apparently really hard to run.
Yeah,
like you need a
it's
beast
pretty
of a computer to
stressful.
do it.
what the hell?
It's just because of all the lighting effects.
Yeah.
It's like too much. But the GTA one, like, you can maybe run it at like 10 FPS. I mean, unless you have like a beast computer, like 680s,
I don't
like
even
a
think
5
the
gig processor.
Does
I
it
don't even
help?
think the graphics were my favorite part though. Like they had Euphoria, I think it is, that physics engine that like makes your person actually like try to balance and like they'll grab things around them and stuff like that. It's like when you hit somebody with a car, they'd flatten over your car and then like try to get back up, be like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? And like I think the best was if you get drunk in the game, all of your movement is Euphoria based. And
Yeah,
you just
that-
trip randomly and like it's awesome.
To be honest, you like that then, or
That was my favorite part about that game. Was
That-
playing with that physics engine.
to be playing with it maybe, but like just like having that while playing the game at certain moments was
Yeah,
pretty fucking frustrating, to be honest.
because you're like,
Um,
get the hell up.
There were moments where you'd be like stunned for a minute and you're just like stumbling, and it's actually funny. So I mean, yeah, it was kind of entertaining, but like at times you didn't want like the entertainment, it pissed you off. But
Like, you want to be able to turn it off when you're actually trying to do a mission. Like, god damn explosions.
yeah, yeah. That I was one probably the biggest thing I didn't like was there's no parachutes until Ballads of Gay Tony, I think. So that sucked. But
Ballad of Gay Tony was awesome.
I never played that either.
I
Coming
didn't
back
play it
to you
either.
talking about
It's the only good part of that game, in my opinion.
that.
Like,
I-
story-wise.
Story wise, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because seriously, there wasn't shit to the main story, anyways.
The main story sucked. It was awful.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah,
You're like a Russian who comes in on a boat.
you're basically an immigrant helping your cousin.
Yeah,
Gotta
and then,
make it
like-
big.
try and make it big. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's
But
like,
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the size of it, like you were saying, Jeff, the size
Nice
of it.
train, Jeff.
Actually, that's me.
Oh, that's you?
it's not me.
Yeah, I seriously live a block away from the train tracks.
Jeff
The
lives-
train tracks are
Jeff-
right up the hill from my backyard.
Yeah.
Like I could
Jeff lives
during
in the,
the
middle
train
of the
going
forest.
by, I could sprint up the hill and smack the back of it before it finishes passing.
Yeah.
I think.
Jeff lives in the forest. So during the podcast a couple times, his internet's already gone kind of shitty at times, and his mic got all bad. 'Cause he lives in the forest.
There's nothing else running in this house to make it shitty too. It just decides it doesn't.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm gonna be terrible now.
Here, have 2,000 ping for a minute. Ooh.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Hmm.
I bet that your house isn't gonna be like that though, Jeff. Or at least the new place, apartment, or whatever.
It's an old as hell building,
It doesn't matter.
so the power is going to be like that. The power will be bad, but the internet will be good. Yes.
I live in a house from the 50s. I don't have issues with that. To be fair, when I moved in, I rewired this room because it couldn't run my computer.
I didn't
My
have
house, the
problems.
majority of the plugs don't have a ground. It's just 2 holes.
If
Oh.
you, like, unplug something from the wall in this room, my speakers pop, and all the sound from every device gets all fucking wonky.
Well, that's the best.
Yeah, it's great to fuck around with the TV by unplugging shit.
What other games you guys looking forward to? Sounds like we're kind of
2013 is
not
a year
so
where
good.
I'm not really looking forward to any games, but a year where I'm looking forward to finding information out about games that might not even come out this year. Actually, one of them is most definitely not coming out this year.
Which is
Um, the guys who make Eve, they own the rights to make World of Darkness games. World of Darkness is like a pen and paper RPG universe, and it's based around Lovecraft. So like, there's werewolves and vampires and shit, but it's like modern times. Oh, and
Okay.
there's mages and and vampire hunters and
Yeah.
just all kinds of cool stuff.
So what are you hoping for from them? Like a
They're
single
making
player
it.
RPG
They're making
or
an MMO. They're making
Really?
an
You're just
MMO,
pumped.
and the MMO they are making is based on World of Darkness, and it's based more importantly on the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines universe.
instantly.
Oh,
Instead of the Vampire the Masquerade Requiem universe, because that one's terrible, but Bloodlines is awesome. And
so you're just hoping to find more information on that this year?
because they named some of the mechanics in last year for this game, Jeff, and it's amazing.
I saw a bit on it.
Yeah, there's not going to be leveling or anything. You acquire gear.
Really?
And like that's just how you do it. But like there's going to be cities and people can control the cities. Like a vampire prince will run a city, and like there's permadeath in the game.
Really?
Yeah, it's not all the
That's-
time. Like if an NPC kills you, you're not like permanently dead. You can respawn because you're a fucking vampire. But
Right.
if like a prince decides to like use a blood death on you, or I mean blood hunt or whatever, then your character can be like permanently killed by killing you and then performing a ritual on your body.
Really? Now, is that like an NPC controlled guy, or is that actually?
No, it's a PvP thing.
Oh,
Can
okay.
you interrupt the ritual? Could you have like your friends come in and kill the blood hunter and save you
Yeah,
from your
I
character
think so.
destroyed?
Like there's a way to stop it, but someone can like call out a contract basically on you to permanently kill your character.
That's actually really sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's made by the
no.
guys who made Eve, so it's not going to be like any MMORPGs. It's just going to be weird as shit.
That's
Eve,
actually-
Eve is like the coolest MMORPG out there in my opinion. I just can't get into it because it takes so goddamn long.
Yeah,
That's-
and it's not even like playing a game. It's like filling out a
Yeah.
spreadsheet. But
Yeah.
this is going to be more like playing a game, but with like a lot of ideas from Eve, and
Yeah.
that's going to blow my mind.
I just
they
I
launch-
love the player controlled worlds. Like there's somebody out there who owns like 50% of the damn game
Yeah.
world.
Yeah,
It's-
and
it's
that's
just
what they're kind
management.
of doing in this Vampire the Masquerade game.
Yeah.
So like if you're a vampire, you can like control a city and be like the prince of a city, and you have to like keep everything in check and like organize the NPCs and stuff.
But it seems like an awesome idea. I was just gonna say, like the traditional MMO just kind of seems to be almost a dying breed, you know?
Oh,
it's-
like the
I-
standard World of Warcraft MMORPG, they suck
Yeah.
and no one likes them anymore, except for
Exactly.
World of Warcraft because there's like a player base there.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause- But something like that would actually interest me because when you said MMO, I was kind of just like, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that game. And then the other one that I'm really excited to like just learn more about is Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that trailer just got released, didn't it?
I haven't even watched the trailer yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Trailer's pretty cool.
I already
mean,
read that I was on V and there was some games journalist calling it sexist and misogynistic, but I was like, whatever.
really?
That seems to be the big thing right now.
Uh, I heard that there was actually like a hidden message that CD Projekt might have announced the release of The Witcher 3 in it. I don't know if that's just like a big, like,
I love those.
They're supposed to announce like a new product in a few weeks.
okay, so maybe it was like
So-
I don't know. I have to look
Speaking-
into it more, but
Speaking of announcements that we're excited for, I want to hear what Bungie's doing. They haven't said anything on it. I think it'd be interesting. It might be crap, but it could be very interesting.
with
Based on the art, it looks like another FPS in space.
Yeah,
Nah.
it looks. I've heard it's like very similar to Halo, but potentially like sort of an MMO. not entirely
Is that
sure.
what Microsoft was talking about? Their next big project, like they want to make the
No.
next Halo? Or
No, that was Black Tusk.
that's what that was.
We
Okay,
talked
yeah.
about that. It's a studio
Yeah.
in Vancouver that used to be called Microsoft Game Studios Vancouver. Now it's Black Tusk.
What badass
Wait.
name?
Wait,
And they're in charge of making the next big Microsoft IP that's supposed to be like the replacement for Halo.
Okay.
I think I worked on the floor below them.
Yeah, you probably did.
I was supposed to be on their team, but I got swapped off because yeah.
Yeah, Jeff was supposed to work at a co-op at Microsoft Game Studios, and then he worked for some subsidiary on
No.
the Kinect thing.
No, it was still Microsoft Game Studios. It was another
Really?
team.
Oh.
Yeah. Like
I
I
thought
got
you worked-
introduced. I got introduced to the big Microsoft Game Studios team in Vancouver, and then they realized I'm ridiculously good at prototyping, so they threw me onto a smaller team currently trying to prototype a game. That team shut down at this point though.
Yeah, they're gone.
So it sounds like you guys aren't really excited for anything in 2013.
Well, there's stuff that's coming out, but I have no interest in being like excited for it because I just know that I'm gonna get disappointed. Like Watch Dogs, okay, based on what I've seen and like the concept behind it, yeah, really cool idea. However, it's probably gonna be Assassin's Creed meets GTA and boring as shit because it's an open world game and it has some ideas from Assassin's Creed, but it's modern times, and you're like, okay, well. Like, Assassin's Creed is already a point where it's, like, very stale.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they'll be able to pull it off because it's a really good idea, but it could easily just be a gimmick.
Yeah,
it could just
well,
be a gimmicky
the issue
Grand
with that
Theft Auto.
game is that it could be gimmicky and mass market appeal kind of game, and then it's
Yeah,
going to be
that's-
bad. Like, the
It
thing about that
probably
game,
will,
if they make
but
it
I'm
mass
hoping it'll be
market,
good.
if they make that game to, like, appeal to everyone, then it's going to be bad. And I think that's the issue with a lot of games right now.
I'm hoping it appeals to like Grand Theft Auto fans, but it's fun. Like I want it to be serious but fun, which is very hard to do with open world games. But I've still got my fingers crossed for that.
Well, you can do it. It's just a mechanics thing. If they can make good mechanics, then the game will be fun regardless of being serious. The thing is that if they make the mechanics, there's a chance that they make the game too easy, too simplified, not enough depth in the mechanics, and then it's just bad. Like, the reason why, like, Saints Row is a very simple game. Like, in the gameplay. I mean, you hit things with a dildo. That's what you do. But you hit things with a dildo. Now, if that were a bat, game wouldn't be nearly as fun.
Yep. Dildo is the strongest weapon in the game. It's pretty retarded.
Yeah, I love it. It's fun.
What about games like BioShock Infinite? I think that's the one I'm most excited for.
Okay, I'm excited for that because 1999 mode and running like the hook thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
hook wheel.
just love the BioShock universe. Like the original one. BioShock 2 wasn't as good, I don't think. And I thought
I
it
like
was so
BioShock,
cool.
but it's definitely too easy.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even care about the difficulty. I loved the universe. So I was really excited to see the original team working on another BioShock game, which is why I want to play it. And then I think The Last of Us, I'm also excited for that, just because I feel like it'll be really character-driven, which is rare in a video game. So
I feel like
I just want to see how that
There's two
works.
things that can happen with The Last of Us right now.
Yup.
It's what they've said they want it to be in all these goddamn cinematic trailers, but they've given us no gameplay stuff.
They have.
And barely. And so it's either going to be like exactly what everyone wants it to be, or it's going to be Dead Island.
Gameplay's better than Dead Island. It's more action-packed. But I think
I'm saying
just
it's
gonna
going to
turn into
be
another zombie game. Unfortunately.
Okay, if there's zombies in the game, then I'm done. I'm not even going to buy it. It's going to be bad.
They're not zombies. They're like mutants. But they're basically zombies.
But if that game has so much potential right now to be like the next Dead Island, where like, look at all these amazing cinematics. I'm drinking and fucking people. Like that's
I don't
when that
remember Dead Island have
the very
many
beginning.
things.
That's how it opens up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
But
here's this
that-
amazing, touching story given to you in a cinematic trailer. here's this shitty zombie game.
It looks better. It looks like the little girl who's like not little girl, but the young girl who's like your partner. She seems to have really good AI, and like she actually shouts at you to do shit. Like she'll be distractions and stuff so that you can pop out and kill people. And it sounds like it's all about resource conservation. Like if you have a gun with bullets, don't fucking use it unless you have to.
So it's like actually got survival elements in it.
Yeah, apparently. But I still think it's going to be really linear. I'm worried about that anyways. But it could turn out to be really good. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've got no interest in it just because like of the cinematics. Like I'm just there's so many games like that right now where it's just like here's these amazing cinematic trailers, and I'm just like, you know what? I'd start getting hyped, but you're just gonna disappoint me massively. Games I am excited for this year: Monster Hunter. It's Monster Hunter. They don't make bad Monster Hunters. There's basically there's a bit of gameplay footage. It looks like the other Monster Hunters, but with better graphics. But you know what? It's a Monster Hunter game, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
What's it out for?
Wii U and 3DS.
Are you guys excited for the new StarCraft 2 game at all? Part of the
No.
Swarm?
I
stopped enjoying StarCraft a while ago. It's
I'm
not that I don't enjoy StarCraft. I don't have the time to learn it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to beat the campaign. Like, I want to see where the campaign goes, and that's about it. Even though I didn't really enjoy the campaign for Wings of Liberty.
I do want to see what they do with the universe, but I don't know. Blizzard's just pissed me off too much lately.
Blizzard's games, yeah, they've been like
Bad.
scaling them back. I think they've been doing a good job with gameplay. They just haven't
StarCraft
been
is good. Everything else has been bad.
solid.
Well,
Like
the
Diablo, the mechanics were good. The actual looting, which is what the game's all about, and the end game were just poo.
Well, the looting was terrible the whole way through the game because they didn't have anything interesting on the items.
Yeah.
And
That game was so disappointing.
It was
because like Jeff and I was playing that in beta, and we're like, "This is gonna be awesome." And then a week before the game comes out, they update the beta, and it's like the worst thing I've ever played.
It's
in
like,
my
hey,
goddamn
we redid
life.
all the stat systems. You can't fucking do anything customizing now. Yay!
Yeah,
Character
and I
creation,
remember
just
Jeff
shit.
arguing with me about how that's a good thing because it makes it so that you only have to make one barbarian.
I thought it could turn out well if the gear was good, but then the gear was shit too. It's just like garbage.
It was bad.
I played through the story once because I found the graphics were enjoyable and the story was okay, and the combat was good. And then it was like, continue again on a higher difficulty, and I was like, close. Game is done.
I beat it, and I was like, I'm not playing this ever again.
Yeah.
It's too easy the first 3 times. I'm not playing through the game 3 times to fucking play it on like the way that it's supposed to be played. Then like people. So I say that game's bad, and they're like, "Have you beat it on Inferno?" I'm like, no. And they're like, "Well, then you haven't really played the game." It's like, no, you don't understand. The difficulty setup is retarded. If I have to play it like 4 times just to play the game, then it's broken.
Well,
I
we
feel
played
like-
it on hardcore. It wasn't even fun. Hardcore.
Yeah, it was way too easy on hardcore. We didn't even get close to dying.
Yeah.
And
I feel
so
like-
it's just like, no.
If that person's giving you shit for not beating the game, then like that's just weird because you beat the game and you played it, and
I
it's
just
literally.
didn't play it on the hardest difficulty, but
I
that's
have
not
to
my
beat it
fault.
3 times before
Well-
it gets good. Like,
And what's the difference? Like, see what you play the same exact game 3 different fucking times. It just gets
It gets
takes more
harder and
time.
there's more enemy
yeah.
types.
It just takes
yeah.
more time. There's
the
nothing.
enemies just have more abilities and shit. That's about it.
There's like barely anything new. It's not. I don't know. It's just like with Torchlight. I don't really play the campaign much. I just play with my friends on like maps and whatever. After I beat it, and I think that's fun. But I don't.
Yeah, but that's different because you can actually set the difficulty. You're not required to play it a bunch of times just for the game to be fun.
Right. And there shouldn't be like the difficulty like being on Inferno shouldn't make the game like that's like oh yeah you actually beat it. I don't know. That's
It
just
makes
weird.
the enemies actually interesting in that game because they have good abilities.
Yeah.
But until then, they're boring as hell because they just stand there hitting you.
Okay.
They just run
But-
at you screaming.
Pretty much.
The game I'm most excited for so far is Rainbow Six Patriots.
Really?
It's yeah, I feel like they could fuck it up, and it's Ubisoft, and what they've done with some games doesn't like work with me, but I've loved the title since Vegas. I haven't played any of the previous ones, but I played the shit out of Vegas and Vegas 2, so
Yeah,
I'm
Vegas is
excited to see.
really good.
It's been a while too, so I'm excited to see where it goes. They haven't really released too much information about it, so I'm kind of like skeptical at the same time, but really pumped because it could be one of the best titles of the year. I feel.
Potential there for sure.
I forgot a game. Thief 4.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Eidos is making a new Thief game.
Seriously?
Yeah, they own they own all of
Never heard
the
of this.
they own all of the Ion Storm IP, so they own Deus Ex and they own Thief,
Oh,
and they're making a new Thief game.
That could be really, really good.
Yeah, if it's like Thief 3 but without all the goddamn loading screens, best game ever. The issue with Thief 3 was that it was on the original Xbox,
okay.
and therefore just like Deus Ex Invisible Warfare, that was also on the original Xbox. Just bad, because of Xbox shit. It's just like really small levels, tons of loading screens. However, it works a lot better on Thief 3 than it does on like Deus Ex. Because Deus Ex, you're like, I'm in an airport. Look at how, like, the international airport for Seattle, it's like one room. But in Thief, you're like, it's a little bit bigger. Like, the city is broken into chunks, but like the city still has levels and stuff.
Yeah,
There's just lots of
played
loading screens in Thief 3.
Deus Ex. It was based in like Detroit for part of the game, wasn't it?
Invisible Warfare?
No, Human Revolution.
Oh, yeah, part
What?
of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the levels on those were small.
Yeah, but they're not. If you never played Invisible Warfare, you don't understand really what I'm talking about. Like, these are the tiniest levels I've seen in my life. Like, if you go to the Seattle airport, it's like the size of the room that I'm recording in. It's just like a room.
Okay.
It's retarded. But yeah, new Thief game this year, and that's gonna be awesome. Hopefully. Well, it also hasn't really been announced. They're like, we're making a new Thief game, but they haven't like given a date or a platform or anything. But it might be this year. It might be next year. But I mean, I'm gonna learn about it this year, so that's gonna be fun. Oh, and The Cave this month. The Cave comes out.
Is that an indie game?
It's by Double Fine.
Oh,
And
really?
it's designed by the guy who made the original Monkey Island game.
Okay.
And I'm excited for it. It's like a platformer. I think it's 3-player.
That's pretty exciting, actually.
That was gross.
Yeah, you like pick a group of characters out of 7. There's 7 characters, and you like pick 3 of them, and you have to like get through the cave.
I feel like it could kind of be a little bit like Trine, maybe, and like the sense of that platforming.
I don't
How
know.
you had a different character.
We don't know anything about the game. It's just gonna come out, and I'm gonna buy it because it's from Double Fine.
Yeah.
I wonder where Jeff went.
Jeff's gone. Jeff's gone.
Yeah, I mean he'll be back, but
We hope so.
yeah. What other stuff are you looking forward to this year?
Man,
Oh, Jeff's back. I'm sorry.
that coming off. That's fine.
Jeff, The Cave. Are you excited for The Cave? Double
Sorry, I
Fine
haven't heard
game?
anything about it. No, I haven't heard anything past the name, so I have no idea. It's Double Fine, so it's probably going to be really good. But
Yeah. It's not done by Tim Schafer. It's done by, I can't remember his name. I feel bad, because...
is it the Star point and click adventure game guy, the Monkey Island guy?
Yes.
That'll be good then.
Yeah. Except that The Cave is like a platforming kind of game.
Okay.
You like have 7 characters, well, 7 types of characters, because there's really 8, but that's only because one of the characters that you can select is like these two twins, but you like select 3 people and then you have to like go through the cave. And the game plays differently depending on what people like, what combination of people you have.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it at all.
So Tyler,
Actually, yeah. What?
Go ahead.
I just looked and I remembered the Sonic racing game is coming to PC. I'm fucking stoked for that. I can't wait. Because
Yeah.
of how much you've talked it up and how much I've been wanting to play a racing game so bad now that I've had a controller and I haven't found a good one. I'm like, finally. I haven't played
It's
the
got
first
local multiplayer. You don't need to play the first one. It's a
Oh
kart
my
racer. I think it's got 2-player local multiplayer for PC,
one. Really?
and it has online.
Really? That's sick. Cause hopefully it actually like uses Steam's. That's only have to use Steam Big Picture, I guess. But no, I'm excited for that because I've been dying for a good kart game.
Yeah,
Do you think-
so good. Best kart racer ever.
Do you think they'll do like a lot of like LAN play so I can play with more than just one other person?
I don't know.
Hopefully.
That'd be cool.
I know that it's gonna work with 2 people for LAN, but I don't know if it's gonna work with 4. It's only like $30 or $40 if you get it on Xbox.
It's only $26 on the PC though.
That's true.
Oh damn, that is so cool.
I think I got it online with I bought it on the Wii eShop, the Wii U eShop the day that I
Yeah.
got my Wii U, and I think it was like $30.
They sell 4-packs, so
They sell 4-packs of that game.
yeah, they do.
Yeah, you should buy it in a 4-pack. But I don't want to buy it again. The thing is that game, to try to like get all of the characters unlocked, takes so long.
It's the best part, though, man. I love unlocking characters.
But I just love playing the game, and I would just like to have all the characters.
Oh,
Kart
man.
racers shouldn't make you unlock characters. They should just give you all of them and be like, here's a million types of race types and a million types of tracks, and then like not make you progress through anything. Same
Should
thing
have
with
the option
FPS.
of-
Multiplayer FPS should never have a progression system. It's broken. It's not fun. But it adds replay
Some
value or some
people
shit.
enjoy it.
Yeah, well, they're stupid.
Yeah.
I just like seeing numbers count up, and when they hit certain points, I get things for it.
Oh, I like that too, but I also get infuriated at the idea of just like grinding kills.
Yeah. Well,
I'm like, I got
you need to-
rewarded. Too bad I wasted 5 hours of my life for something.
See, that's the thing. You need to not
useless.
see it like that. You need to see like, you go in with the basic guns and you enjoy it. You don't grind the whole time, right? Because
Yeah, but some of the guns that you get,
enjoy.
you're like, you have to grind them to get the attachments. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is a bit annoying. I liked the ability to unlock things with points in the first Black Ops. I think that was the best system.
That was the best system. They still have it in Black Ops 2, but they also have stupid-ass level requirements all the way through the game. So you're like, I can unlock this thing. Too bad I still have to be level 37.
Yeah, I liked
Look at that guy.
I really
He does terrible things
It's
in the
beautiful.
background. Sometimes.
beautiful.
There's
Do we have a name
podcasts
for
that
him?
he screamed at me.
Wow,
Yeah.
could he hear you?
Not right now. Well,
Could he though?
no.
Were you like, did he like get pissed
No,
off?
he's
at
just
you?
yelling shit.
Oh,
But that's okay.
sweet. So, should we move on to our next topic then, or?
Yes, we will move on to all of the things at CES.
The ass load of things. Like, we could just talk about just NVIDIA's announcements.
Yeah,
For,
actually,
like,
we
an
could
hour.
just talk about NVIDIA's announcements, but we'll talk about... We're
Talk
moving
about
on to
CES.
CES, by the way. So, a Luma Room. Can we talk? Can we talk how fucking stupid that thing is?
I kind of like it. I would never pay for it.
Oh, I know. It's gimmicky as hell.
Yeah.
And, like, to make it look good, like, you need a projector room.
You need a dark ass room. With
Yeah,
a
you need a projector
bright-ass
room.
wall.
You need a black room, like a room that's black with no windows or light sources, that's empty, just has a couch, and then a white wall to like project on.
Yeah, you need light, everything to be light colored. But the thing is, like, you're not using it for detailed picture, right? It's just to make effects that blow up out of the screen.
Yeah,
and it does actually scan the shape of your room so that it can draw the explosions accurately over complex shapes. I don't know how well it works. I wouldn't believe.
Yeah, because the video that they showed us
ideal.
was pre-rendered. It actually didn't use any. This is like
it
a
said,
concept.
It said at the end of the video that it was real footage of the system running in like a room.
Not from what I've heard, but sure.
Well, I know, like that's the thing. You can't really trust them. But if it does work, it's kind of a cool idea.
In a closed environment, yeah. It's not. It's gonna be a pain in the ass in like a real place.
Probably, especially if you don't have a flat wall with like no window or anything on it. Because I know where my TV is, that thing would be useless. Because like one side of the TV is a giant window and the other side of the TV is a giant window. So it's like, ooh. It's not gonna work at all.
And even the idea behind it, like they're like, look, we've created this thing that essentially expands the FOV of the game, and outside of this, we basically render effects that don't matter to you. So like, it doesn't actually have any gameplay influence.
It's all just an atmosphere thing, and I don't think it's that worth it. The one thing
but you know what would make for better atmosphere, Jeff? If we just made better consoles that could actually push like a really high resolution and with a better FOV. More important than resolution, FOV.
Yes. Oh fuck yes. That's the one thing I did like about it, is you can push games with fucking 70 FOV up to like 120 with it, which is really nice. But at the same time,
yeah, but you can't render anything that's useful outside of that 70 FOV. You're just rendering explosions and shit. And so like, the real problem with consoles having no FOV. Yeah, but it's questionable whether or not the reason why the FOV is 70 is because the Xbox can't handle rendering anything around it. Like the developer made it that way to try to like reduce the number of things on screen because the hardware in the Xbox is so weak. That's why every Call of Duty like iteration it gets smaller.
So far away from the screen.
That's partially why, but if you look at the Xbox, but if you look at the Call of Duty games, they get smaller and smaller, and it's to increase like fidelity.
I don't think turning the FOV up makes rendering that much harder, unless you're talking like from 70 to 180. Then that's a big thing.
Well,
but
no,
like
because you're really going from 65 to like 90 to 120 range.
Yeah.
And it's to try to keep the number of things on screen lower so that you can increase texture quality.
Yeah, but that's just because it's a small amount of RAM, which is annoying. I would wish that the minimum was 90, because I can't play 70 FOV games anymore without getting headaches.
It's stupid, I know. There's like a lot of issues related to FOV when it's really small, and like I can't.
I get like motion sick and headaches. It's just not fun. I'm tired.
Yeah. As someone who comes from PC, like when I go to play on consoles, I'm just like, this is stupid. And it affects gameplay in a very negative fashion. Like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 plays so much differently on PC than it does on console. And it's because on console it's like the run and gun knife bullshit. Yeah. But on PC it plays more like Counter-Strike.
Yeah. No, it's way better on PC. Yeah. I don't know. The Illuma Room is just a gimmick. The technology is kind of cool. It's like the Kinect, right? You look at the Kinect and you're like, hey, that's cool, that works. I don't want to ever use it.
It doesn't work on the Xbox, but it works on PC.
It does work on the Xbox.
Hardware yeah, but just rarely. It's a pain in the ass. It works like a third of the time.
No, those are the shitty games. It works.
All the games for Kinect are shitty, well. Jeff.
No.
Except for dancing and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Dancing.
Star Wars Kinect. Game of the year every year. 10 out of 10. 7 out of 7 asses.
I don't know. The Kinect itself is a really cool piece of technology. It is not really something that I think should be gaming oriented.
Oh, it's really cool, and there's lots of awesome implementations of it on PC for like practical purposes, not for gaming. It's terrible for gaming. I like using it. I like all the modeling stuff that you can do with it in Maya.
I love
with the caps.
Like the cool little technology things people will come up with, where like they use it to run like sumo bots and stuff. You know, like little sumo wrestling robots.
But there's absolutely no room for it in the console space. It's stupid.
There's only
dancing
for dance
games.
Dancing games. Like, dancing games on Kinect are better than any other dancing game you're ever going to find. But do you want to buy a Kinect so you can play Just Dance?
It's the only... Just Dance is the only game that works with the Kinect. Every other game does not work.
Well, they do work. They're just not fun.
Not well. They rarely work. They don't pick up motion correctly. Just Dance is the only one that does it correctly. And it's why the rip for Just Dance that's in Star Wars Kinect is the only part of the game that works correctly. Because it's Just Dance with Star Wars characters. Now, if they could do it with Lord of the Rings...
Star Wars themed songs.
Now, if they could do it with Lord of the Rings, I'll buy a Kinect. I'll buy an Xbox and I'll buy a Kinect. But if there's a Lord of the Rings Kinect, they've got to rip Just Dance into it so I can dance as Gandalf.
You can dance as, like, one player's Gandalf, one player's a Hobbit, so you're, like, half the height.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah!
It'll be awesome. Make it. Do it, Microsoft. Make it. The next thing is NVIDIA Grid, which actually is super interesting. Well, it's not super interesting. The thing is that it's like a new live service.
It's on live too.
Yeah. If they can fix... There's going to be... If they do this, it's got to be done in a way where, like, only certain cities can have it. And the reason why is bandwidth. Because the issue with on live is that it worked with some games, but it didn't work with others. Like, you couldn't play an FPS or you couldn't play a fighting game because of the latency.
You can't play competitively with it at all.
There's some games that you can't play. You can't play fighting games because there's too much lag. Because fighting games are, like, the game that requires the fastest response time of anything. So the issue that you're going to have with NVIDIA Grid is that you need something that... You need to basically have service areas for it. Because it's a streaming system. However, the thing about NVIDIA Grid is that it's also incredibly powerful. So even though it's a streaming system, running games in the cloud, if you can get it to work, is, like, the optimal way to do. Because everything will run at like 120 FPS, maximum quality. The issue though is latency.
Looking at the actual computers they're using for it, it's really slick. Like compared to, I think OnLive just had like server base with graphics cards.
Yeah.
It's basically OnLive with a huge financial backer. To me, that's all I see it as. The one thing I do like about it is it's offered so that it'll work on almost any
device,
any machine. Yeah. Whereas on live, you had to buy a little console and plug it into your Ethernet and your TV to work it.
Yeah, that was stupid. It should just be a PC streaming service.
Yeah. So
which is essentially what NVIDIA Grid is.
Yeah, I think Grid definitely has a much better chance to turn into something than OnLive did, but I'm still very skeptical.
To be honest, they're likely not to release it. They're likely not to run a consumer service for a very long time with it until like internet gets to a point where it works.
Until we're all on fiber optics. Woo!
Yeah, until we have South Korea's internet. Like, there's places that this would work. This would work really well in South Korea because everyone's internet is amazing.
It would work amazingly in South Korea.
Same thing with it in Sweden. It would work really well in Sweden, where 100 megabit like connection is the standard.
The only place I can see other than that it would work well is countries where people can't afford to buy gaming rigs or even consoles.
Yeah, but available. The thing is once again, internet infrastructure has to be there.
Yeah.
Because if anything less than 100 megabit down, like 15 megabit up, is not standard for everyone to have, then it doesn't work.
No, it should work. It's not an issue of the
No, it doesn't work, Jeff, because you're talking... It is an issue of bandwidth because of latency.
No, it's latency.
Yeah, but...
Latency and bandwidth aren't really related. Latency is the time it takes to send a message from you to wherever it's going.
Yeah, but as latency is reduced, it's easier to provide larger bandwidth for like a cheaper price. That's why.
Yeah, but you don't need high bandwidth. Like if you can stream video, then you have enough bandwidth. It's just the latency. Like if you have over 150 ping, it's not going to be playable.
But it's not about being able to stream video. It's about being able to stream video with zero delay. Like I can stream video, but on a 5-second delay, and that's no issue. But I could not
streaming video though. Like the delay is just the time in making the connection. Right? Like once you start the stream, you're good. And if they have to drop down in video quality, they have to drop down in video quality. The issue isn't how much data can you get enough data through, because most internet users can. It's, am I close enough to a data center to actually be able to, you know, press a button and have something fucking happen on screen afterwards? That's the big issue. So what they need is, like, they need NVIDIA Grid in every single data center available, pretty much, so that you have a grid server close to where you are when you're playing.
Yeah, and the other issue is kind of who does this appeal to? Because, like, the thing about NVIDIA Grid is that you're essentially marketing games to someone who doesn't own a console and doesn't own a gaming PC.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they have no interest in playing games.
Or you're marketing the console, or the marketing Grid to people who play video games everywhere. Like couch surfers. Right? If you're not living in one place, you're not going to carry around your fucking Xbox with you everywhere you go.
Yeah, but there's other devices that solve that issue. Like, I mean, those people who game could have a laptop, and that instantly fixes that issue.
Like the other device NVIDIA announced?
Partially that, but also the device after that. So, the next thing that we're talking about, NVIDIA Shield, which is interesting, at the very least. It's an Android console with a screen built on top. Well, it's an Android controller with a screen built on it.
Yeah, and the entire console's inside the controller.
Yeah, and the whole console's inside the controller, but you can't detach the screen.
Doesn't matter. It's got HDMI outs. You can plug it into whatever you need to plug it into.
Yeah, I know.
And I hope I didn't get out of it whether it had like 3G or 4G capabilities at all.
It doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
No, it's got Wi-Fi though.
That's a bit lame because you kind of need a connection to run it. And does it run Grid? Can you use it to?
I don't know because they didn't say that. They didn't say a lot about Grid. It's a streaming service.
Those are my two questions that I really had about that console. And I don't know.
Here's the problem with NVIDIA Shield. It's meant to run Android games, and a lot of Android games are touch-based.
Yeah.
You can't hold it by the screen because the controller's too heavy. You'll snap.
Yeah.
Now imagine using the touchscreen.
You can only use one hand.
Yeah, but more importantly, how you use the touchscreen. Because, like...
Hold in one hand,
you're like...
poke it.
Yeah, but that's not how you use a touchscreen normally. Like, you'd be like this, using it, right? Like, just over top of the controller. But that's not how I use a touchscreen. When I use a touchscreen, I'm using it like this. My fingers are next to the screen already when I'm holding it. So, like, the idea of holding it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of the touchscreens... So, what this really depends on is, like, using really good controller support. And so when this thing comes out, if a lot of games on Android don't have controller support, there's a ton of controllers available for Android, but they don't have controller support. So they're going to be shit. Like, initially. It really depends on people developing Android games to work with controllers.
Yeah. Well, the other nice thing about it is you can control your PC from it. So you could play PC games with a controller.
Is
the thing that's good about it is definitely the PC streaming. But the thing is that high-end Android phones, well, not even high-end Android phones, new Android devices have PC streaming.
Yeah, but
the only reason why my phone doesn't have PC streaming is because I have an HTC Desire. It's old as shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, if you're looking for PC streaming, you can actually, in your own house, you could walk out of the room that your PC's in.
Yeah, but you could do that
have
with
your game on your screen, but you've got a full controller, so you're still able to play your PC games.
Yeah, but you can use any Bluetooth controller for that. There's a million of them already available for Android.
Bluetooth controller?
Yeah,
but
that do the exact same thing.
Then
you just mount your phone on the top.
You just duct tape your phone.
No, they have mounts for them, like on top of the controller, where you like put it in. So it ends up working exactly like the one good thing that NVIDIA Shield does, which is the PC streaming.
Yeah.
But you can't PC stream outside of your house basically because you won't have
network
the latency for it. It's too slow.
And the upload speed from your network, right? Because
and your upload is
shitty upload.
Probably
you
not
can't
enough.
stream 720p video from your PC to your phone. Like you're not going to be able to do that with the majority of internet connections. So it's really only useful inside your Wi-Fi area, for your same as your computer.
Pretty much. Like, I can play StarCraft 2 on my tablet perfectly fine when I'm at home, but I can't play it out, like, at school. And it's because the streaming's too slow.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because of the school network, not because of mine.
Yeah. Can't even stream your desktop trying to, like...
Yeah, it's terrible. But, like... Okay, NVIDIA Shield, great concept.
Yeah.
But it has all the same problems that every other Android, like, console has. Now, the thing about NVIDIA Shield that's good is that it's got a lot of power, and there seems to be developers interested in it. Like, the guys who make Hawken made a version of Hawken for that.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And it won't run on any other Android devices because they're not powerful
It
enough.
looked really good, too.
But Hawken will run on the NVIDIA Shield because it's powerful enough. So really, you're not even looking at NVIDIA Shield. Like, all the console purposes for it suck. All of, like, the traditional Android stuff, it's not... There's no purpose for it because every other Android device can already do that. What it can do well is if they market it kind of in the same fashion as, like, the Vita or the 3DS, where it's actually just a handheld.
Mm-hmm. I will say, though, I think it's probably my favorite handheld. Like, I'd be more likely to buy that over a 3DS and the Sony equivalent.
You don't know how good the 3DS is, Jeff. Professor Layton.
I don't want to play with it. I don't want to. Like, I don't like the shape of it. I don't like the touch.
The XL is much better.
It just
the regular 3DS
doesn't appeal to me. It seems too casual. I don't know.
The games on it are really good. There's some really good games for it.
I know. I definitely buy a 3DS over this equivalent. I made the Vita, I guess it is. I made the mistake of buying a PSP and.
That was fun, wasn't it?
There's some okay stuff
No,
with
there's
PSP.
no games at all.
Get Persona.
It's like 3.
Get Persona 3.
Yeah.
It's not even worth it. I'm not.
Persona 3 Portable is totally worth it. It's one of the best. It's like one of the best JRPGs ever. And then Persona 4
I don't even want to
Golden.
touch that thing anymore. My PSP, it's buried somewhere.
But
Okay.
Persona. Is Persona 3
One-
Portable even
one
for
game-
the PSP, or is that for Vita? The Persona games on Vita are like...
It's new. It's a lot newer than. I don't know.
PSP's pretty old now.
Yeah.
Oh, the PSP is old as hell.
The one other thing I did like about the NVIDIA Shield was it had a ridiculous battery life. If what they said is true, like it's like 4 times that of my laptop, which is really nice.
Yeah, well, that's because it doesn't use any power when it's, like, not running a game.
Even running a game, like, I would get maybe 2.5 hours, and I think they said...
Oh, well, also one of the things is resolution. You're only pushing, like, a game for 720p, and running a game in 720p is very easy. Like, it's a very, very low resolution. That's lower
it's
than
definitely easier.
Well, running a game in 720p, I mean, that's a resolution that we were using, like, very long time ago.
It's the resolution my Xbox runs at over there.
Yeah, but it's also the resolution that, like, PC games ran out in the 90s. Like, 720p is letterbox for old CRT monitors. Yeah, like 720p is a super low resolution. 1080p is not a very high resolution either. I used to run at a higher resolution than 1080p before it became standard on TVs, and then monitors got really expensive as a result. Yeah, like the last console generation kind of killed monitors for PCs because, like, there's been no development and they got more expensive. Like, you could get monitors that were like 3K resolution tall for $200, $300, but now they're $800 because they're purely for professional purposes. And so, like, the development and resolution on TVs and monitors stopped with 1080p, and it's just like, damn you. And now, like, computer monitors are expensive as expensive as TVs, basically, if you want to get a resolution, like, outside of the standard range.
So, what do you think of Razer's sort of portable gaming device, the Edge?
The Razer Edge is a very excellent Ultrabook tablet that's more than reasonably priced, actually. So here's the thing about the Razer Edge. It is the same price as Ultrabooks that have the same hard drive, the same screen resolution, the same CPU, and the same RAM. Except, this is a tablet, and it has a graphics card. And the graphics card in it is actually capable of running games at a reasonable resolution. So, the thing about... Now, it's also not heavy, which is a really is really impressive. At least the tablet by itself isn't heavy. It's only 25% heavier than an iPad. So it's more than reasonable to hold that thing.
Yeah.
Especially for what like hardware you have in it. And now the issue with the Razer Edge is accessories. So the actual thing itself, just the tablet, reasonably priced. Everything's good about that. Jeff's shaking his head.
It's $1,200.
Yeah, but it's the same, but it's actually cheaper, like, based on the hardware that's in it, Jeff, it's cheaper than other laptops that are,
I know,
like,
but I
intended for professional purposes.
want to buy a tablet that's $1,200.
Yeah, but the specs inside of it are very excellent. And the thing is that it's not just a tablet. The thing about the Razer Edge is that it's a multi-purpose thing. Like, it's got HDMI out and stuff, so you can use it as a console, but it's got the controller, so you can use it as a gaming machine by yourself, and it's also got the keyboard, so you can use it as a workstation. Because it fits inside the Ultrabook specs, and Ultrabooks are intended to be, like, small workstation laptops. Like, they're intended to be the same thing that I have, except without graphics cards, and not big and heavy, like my fucking, like, 35-pound laptop.
Yeah.
But, so it's actually really reasonably priced in comparison to everyone else's offerings. Because think about, like, $1,200, Jeff, for a gaming laptop is actually pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's decent.
And that's essentially what it is. It's a gaming laptop, but with a tablet. And now the issue is the price on accessories. The price on accessories,
you need to buy a keyboard and mouse, and you need to buy the handheld.
You have to buy the
thing.
keyboard mount specifically for that tablet. And the controller, you don't have to buy it, but I mean, you could. I mean, you don't have to buy any of these accessories. But, like, the controller, which is apparently heavy as hell, like, it's very heavy. It almost doubles the weight, apparently, which makes it uncomfortably heavy to hold, right? Like, the controller, like, you couldn't hold it up like this and play with it for, like, half an hour, because it's too heavy with the controller. But the controller also costs, like, $300.
What?
Yeah.
That's retarded. That should be like a $60 accessory.
Exactly. And I would suspect that the keyboard is, like, in the same range. Very expensive.
That's terrible. The one thing I think I did like about the Razer Edge, like, I wasn't a huge fan of it at all, but the one thing I do like is it's running a full install of Windows 8, which means it's a really open device. Like, you can get Steam on there, you can play your Steam games. It's basically a portable computer. It is a gaming laptop. And that's definitely the only reason I had any interest in it, because I'm usually not interested in, like, Android tablets and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And well, okay, here's what you could use the Razer Edge for. It's really good for people, like, going to college.
Yeah.
Because you can use it as a laptop, you can use it as a tablet, and you can use it as a gaming machine. Which means now you don't need all of that other shit.
Yeah, you have one machine that will do everything. You can leave your desktop, if you're a desktop gamer, at home and just bring that thing. Because it will run everything you need it to run, and it will do everything.
Or your Xbox, because you don't have room for it. Any console, like, you just don't have the room for it. Because you need a TV, right?
Yeah.
So you can just leave all that stuff at home and not use it.
But I think it's the Razer Edge is for a fairly specific audience, but it is definitely a good option to have.
Yeah. And the thing that I'm kind of surprised about it, if the prices are where they're, like, supposed to stay at, I mean, besides the accessories, they need to be made cheaper. And also the controller needs to be, they need to reduce the weight on the controller according to everyone who's used it. But they also need to change, like, the specs, the size of the controller. The tubes look too small, like, for my hand, and the buttons look too close together in comparison to where the joysticks are, that, like, it seems like it would be awkward to use if you have man hands.
Yes.
I mean, if I was a dainty, if I was a dainty little 8-year-old girl, maybe that controller is the correct size for my fingers, but
that's what people said about
hands.
That's what people said about the Xbox controllers. Remember the Xbox generation? It first came out with those big hulking controllers, and then they reduced it down to, like, a PS2 size thing. Everybody's like, it's for little girls.
Yeah, but
your hands get used to it.
No, Jeff, the thing is that, like, on this, right, like, I'm holding it here. I'm holding it at the bottom, right? This, and more importantly, this joystick goes in. On the Razer controller,
Yeah,
because it's so thin,
straight up.
the joystick's straight up, and then the buttons are down. So I'm going like this.
Yeah.
This shit does not work when I have to hit A, X, Y, B. And if I go down so that I'm using the joystick on the one and the buttons on the other, I can't get up to use the other joystick. So like when I'm playing, I have to be like this. This doesn't work.
Yeah, it's much easier to move your thumb side to side than up and down. That's true.
Yeah, and so the reason why it works on the Xbox is because you're going sideways, but you still have like a full extension of your finger. But on the Razer Edge, you're bending it, and that's like the only way you're gonna get down.
Yeah, I'm thinking a Razer Edge would be much better keyboard and mouse gaming than controller gaming. It just isn't the shape.
But the thing about keyboard and mouse gaming is that like some of the stuff that you could use the Razer Edge for, like on an airplane, for example, like you don't have room to set up a keyboard and mouse and shit. Like a 17-inch laptop does not fit on the tray, let alone my 20-inch laptop. One day I'll just have to bring out my laptop so people can see it and go, "How do you
beefy monster?
How do you carry that?"
You
The
don't
answer
carry
is I
it.
don't carry it. When I travel, I put it in a backpack and like walk around with it through the airport.
What about the last major announcement?
Steambox!
Oh yeah.
And all sorts of Gaben interviews. Gaben's a man.
Yeah.
With a
Or
beard.
Gary, as some people call him.
Gary? Who calls him Gary?
Some girl messed it up at the VGA Awards.
Yeah.
I
The
think she called him-
VGAs.
Oh man, it
Called
was
him Gary.
great.
Came out all.
Anyways,
Gabe is the man.
I love the Steam Box. I think it's the best console I've heard of in a long time.
Well, it's not really a console. Like, So,
Not really.
here's the thing. It takes a console idea. Now, it doesn't take the last couple generations of ideas. It doesn't take the idea of the SNES. It doesn't take the idea of the NES. Think back to Pong. So, when consoles started being a thing, like with Atari, they used to license out specs that hardware manufacturers would use to make consoles. It's why there's Panasonic consoles, and like other consoles, I can't remember anyone else, but like Panasonic had a console, and it was an Atari console. It played Atari games, but it was made by Panasonic. And it's because Atari would license out, like, they're like, these are the specs that you have to run the games. And then people would make consoles, and they would license out the right to make Atari consoles. This is the same idea.
Yeah.
It's also kind of like Android phones. Google makes an Android phone, but they license out the specs and the operating system to be used to like make Android phones, right?
Yeah.
So it's a similar idea to that, because like you have XI3 make with the piston. There's a few other companies who have like concepts and prototypes made up to work as the Steam Box, and then Valve are also going to release their own Steam Box.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a fragmentation in like the Steam Box kind of concept, because if you read the interview, like Gabe said, there is going to be like the okay one that can run Steam games, the good one that can run more Steam games and run them better, and the best one, which is going to be able to just run all the games basically, and like it's going to be as powerful as a desktop, or at least like a dedicated gaming desktop, which means that like the price range is going to span from like $600 to $1,200. And then the thing that they're really licensing out for specs is basically like minimal hardware specs and then form factor and noise.
Yeah. The thing that I love about it though is it's just running Linux. The operating system is a version of Linux.
Some of
Yeah,
them are
Comes
running
with Steam
Linux.
pre-installed.
some of them.
And then Gabe also said they wanted it to be very easy for you to, if you want another operating system on there, just install one. So what you're basically buying is a mass manufactured gaming PC designed to be hooked to your TV.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
not
see.
supposed to be expensive.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to run Linux though. He said their version's going to run Linux.
Yeah, their version will. It just has to have Steam running on it, which I think is an amazing business model. Like, I think this could easily revolutionize console gaming if it catches on. Because I know I would definitely buy one because I have so many games that are on Steam that would just be available on that machine day one.
Yeah, and this is why they're partially pushing, like, this is why they made Big Picture, but it's also why a lot of Steam games are doing, like, a lot of local co-op play for PC.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And all the controller support coming out too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely the right way to go. If I could think of the correct way to go with console gaming, that's definitely where I'd want it to go. And I'm very happy with Valve right now, and Gabe Newell. I also like. Did you hear their idea with the multiple stores? So it's not
Oh,
just.
yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, it's not just like.
There's, like, going to be the
Steam?
Valve store on Steam,
Yeah.
and then everyone else can, like, make their own stores.
So you can
Really?
make your own. Yeah, so you can make your own store that only sells the things you're interested in. So like, what you
Yeah.
can basically do is if you find somebody who has similar gaming taste to you or something like that, you can follow their store, and it'll basically sell all of the Steam games, but only the ones that they've chosen to appear in their store.
Yeah,
Really?
but you could also sell, like, hats and stuff out of the store.
Yeah, exactly.
That, like,
So
you
it's-
make.
It's ways of highlighting content or finding the content that you're interested in, rather than just one store with infinite amount of content buried in it.
Yeah,
is
and
a
the issue
really
with the Steam
interesting
store
idea.
right now that they need to fix is the software. They need to make some way to hide it.
Yeah.
Because I have no interest in looking at it. I don't care
No.
what software they're selling. I just want games, damn it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like every once in a while they just release like 10 pieces of software on one day, and then everything else got like gets hidden from the new releases.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it kind of screws game devs who like release on the same day that Valve decided to port a bunch of software in.
Yeah.
Bunch of software that who's gonna buy?
No one's gonna buy.
It's just weird to buy software off of Steam, I think. But
Yeah, no one's gonna buy like I've heard of all these programs. I have absolutely no interest in buying them through Steam.
maybe there's gonna be a big Steam summer sale on software. Maybe I'll buy some then. But
Interesting. Photoshop, instead of $800,
Yeah.
you get $600.
They like 90% discount CS4. And I'm like, ah, shit, man. I can do this as the student price.
It's only $100 now.
As a student, I get all these things for free, so I don't care.
The computer user.
that's cool. That's cool.
But
I got Windows 8 for free, and I absolutely hate this thing. So, woohoo!
Oh yeah, I'm still on Windows 7. I don't want to go to Windows 8 at all.
Windows 8 has a slight performance boost, but terrible
It's
UI, so screw it.
My laptop boots up pretty damn quick.
It's great for tablets. I don't.
With
want it
Windows
on
8, they had
my
like a bunch of
desktop.
standards that everyone had to reach, and it actually, to be honest, they're not good standards. Especially because of the Windows Store. The Windows Store is really hard to get into if you're like making real software, not just apps. Like the half a second boot up time crap. If you like launch an application, it has to be fully loaded in half a second.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's retarded.
So you can't make real games for it and like release them on Windows Store because you have half a second to fully load your app, like fully load the game and make it playable.
That's why you pretend to load it and then actually just load it later. Cheating.
Yeah, the Windows Store is not a good thing.
No. It's,
Thankfully, everyone has ignored it for the most part.
Yay! I would rather see my software and apps come through Steam. I trust Steam more than anything else right now.
GOG, no DRM, no server, and no client. You just download it through the site. Better than Steam. But it's also only like old PC games.
All right. So do we want to move on to our next topic?
Final topic that we've already touched on a couple of times today. Yes.
Yeah.
Android-based gaming. Only because I feel like this is something that we should talk about because it's becoming a thing that is very hyped up this year. and there's been lots of money thrown at it.
Just
More importantly, there's been lots of money thrown at it.
Yeah,
So
the thing is thrown at it though, not invested in it. The money just gets thrown.
With the
That's
first
my-
two, yes, they were literally thrown at it, Jeff, because they used Kickstarter.
Yeah.
You're not an investor and therefore have no protection as an investor.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the big three that you've got are like the Ouya, the Game Stick, and the Nvidia Shield. Those are the big three that everyone's talking about.
Yeah. Start with you. Yeah.
The Ouya and the Game Stick are retarded. Now, I'll tell you why. There's $50 devices that already are on the market that do exactly what those two things do, except they cost $100. In fact, the ones that are $50 that are on the market have better specs. And the ones that are $50 that are on the market don't sell very well because any Android phone can already do this stuff if you hook it, because they pretty much all have HDMI out, like mini HDMI out, and they all do 1080p video playback, not necessarily rendering. But the thing about the Game Stick and the Ouya, yeah, they do 1080p video playback, not 1080p rendering. So they're no different. And with the phone, like, you just buy a $20 Bluetooth controller.
Yeah.
Just like you have with the Ouya and the Game Stick, you have a $20 Bluetooth controller.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make any sense. And more important, the Ouya, more importantly, I think that one is kind of a huge ripoff. I have no understanding why anyone threw money at that. I think a lot of people misunderstood what it was. They're like, we're making an Android gaming console. It runs Android games. It doesn't run 360 games. It can't even run games on the same quality as 360 games. Like, you're not going to get a game like Skyrim. You're not going to get a game like Call of Duty. You're getting Android casual games on your TV.
The Ouya it's got phone hardware in it, basically. It's got a massive lack of power, and it's just this console that this team has put together that is hoping to bring basically casual gaming to the TV. And I think it's too large. It's got...
But smart TVs can already do that.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, there's very little point to the Ouya, and I love the fact that they want to make developing on it free. Other than that,
But you can
feel like
develop
it's a
on
waste
Android
of
for
money.
free.
Yeah, I feel like it's basically a waste of money. Like, I don't see a place in the market for that machine.
No, especially when developers have to dick around to try to get it to work with the controller.
Yeah.
Like, the Ouya's not going to have any games at launch. Well, there might be a few because the dev kit is out, so people can actually make games for it. But the thing about the Ouya is that, like, it doesn't have a touchscreen, so now you're making traditional games for Android. And when you make them traditional games for Android, like, you're going to obviously release on phones because the Ouya market is going to be so small. So you're going to have a game that's initially based around swipes that then is getting ported to a controller. How is that going to work? Like, is it going to work even half okay?
It won't.
Thinking as a developer, I wouldn't really want to touch the Ouya. And then looking at the Game Stick as a developer, it's the same thing. The only reason I like the Game Stick better than the Ouya is the console is this fucking big.
Yeah, it's just it's the size of a USB stick, and you plug it in the back of the computer.
The console itself, it's $80. It's cheap as all hell. And
yeah, but there's
it's
cheaper
tiny.
ones still.
I know, but it's still underpowered, and it's still got all the same issues that the Ouya has.
The only thing that's nice about the Game Stick is that because the environment's a little more open, because it's literally just Android, just run an emulator and play SNES games.
Yeah, pretty much.
And because of the way that the controller looks, it's almost exactly like a SNES controller,
That's true,
except with a
yeah.
joystick.
That's sweet. Oh, I didn't think of that. That'd be cool.
But
other
you
other
can
than
just
that,
use an Android phone to do that, or your PC, or any console that's not very closed. And then you have the Nvidia Shield, which is just an Android console again. And then that one kind of actually throws out both the Ouya and the Game Stick because it's a lot better. I mean, depending on pricing, obviously. Because, to be honest, the way that the Nvidia Shield's looking, it's got, like, real power in it, like a real handheld. And so it's probably going to cost the same amount of money as a real handheld.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking, like, 3DS, PS Vita pricing.
I don't know. I think the only things that the Game Stick got right was the size, and they have a pretty nice website.
Yeah.
That's about it.
The first two don't even make sense to me why people kickstarted that. And some of the comments that I saw are like mind-boggling. Like when the Ouya came out, there were people like commenting how they were really excited for it to come out and like challenge the 360 and the PS3 in the market space. I'm like, you're an idiot. It's not going to do that. And
The only
then
thing that's going to do that is the Steam box.
this amazing
What else?
comment left on the Ouya unboxing video that they released like a few weeks ago that I constantly see on V because someone screenshotted it and then we laugh at all of them because it's retarded. I can't wait to play Skyrim on this. Like that has to be a troll, right? It can't be a real thing. No one's that stupid, right?
It's got to be a troll.
It's got to
There's
be.
no way. There's no way. I don't know. The game stick's okay. The Ouya's crap. I would never buy either.
No, there's no room for them. At least the Nvidia
Oh.
Shield has like an actual purpose, and I think that if people want to start pushing Android gaming, then like that's what they need to do.
Yeah, for sure. Shield, it's more powerful. It has the ability to do more. There's more features with it, and
Got a
it's
real
much
controller,
more
like a
effective.
full-sized one.
Yeah, it's the
And
much
because
more
of the
effective gaming
power-
device.
Like because of the power, you can actually render real 720p games. Whereas
Right.
like I'm pretty sure the Ouya and the Game Stick, even though the games that are going to be running on it aren't designed to be ran at 720p and like look kind of like ass, I don't think they can push a real game in 720p. Not even close. But the Tegra 4 is
there's
powerful
no
as hell.
power behind either console. There's no hardware there.
In the Ouya unboxing video, the funniest thing I ever saw, actually, is the CEO of that company or whatever. She's like, we added in a fan to, like, increase cooling power. It's a perfectly closed box. There's no vents on it. There's a fan inside of it.
It's so they can use more power. So people are like, hey, it uses lots of wattage. It does things.
She said that it was so that they could really crank up the performance out of the Ouya. I was like, you're an idiot.
They're retarded.
Just like, it's a
Have you seen the Steam box? Have you seen the Steam box prototype?
Yeah,
There's
the
fucking
piston.
holes, like the whole side of the damn box is wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
I
just air flowing
Well,
out, and it's like that is
that's
how you
just-
fucking cool a machine.
That's just one of the prototypes that they have because, like I said,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
licensing
multiple.
thing. But like
Yeah.
the XI3 that they were showing off as like one of their possible prototypes is a modular PC. Like you buy different boards and like switch them out for different power.
Yeah.
But that thing's cool. It's got a fan.
Yeah.
I like watching
I
Total
think that-
Biscuit's video about the XI3, and he's like, "There's got to be a fan in there somewhere." And it's like, come on.
You really need one. Have you seen a Mac computer or an Apple computer? Those things don't have fans. They just pretend to.
They have fans inside. I've seen the layouts.
Yeah, there's one in them. I think.
Yeah.
But
They're not like my laptop that's got 8 real fans in it.
it sounds like a wind tunnel.
Sometimes. Depends if you're running a game or not. You gotta lift it off the table slightly. If it's higher, if it's like a little bit off the table, it's not as loud because it actually gets to like cool out. But like the bottom is like, there's 3 hard drives and then just fan holes like this side with actual fans like of that size like on them. Just like lining the back.
But as to
fans.
Android-based gaming, I don't think it's really gonna nothing's gonna come from that.
No, I think that if people started making real... Here's the thing about Android-based gaming and, like, the touch gaming, I guess, like this portable gaming that isn't handheld-based. Like, the NVIDIA Shield has potential, because they can market that as a real handheld and make real handheld games for it
Yeah.
that won't run on anything else because they don't have the power and they don't have the controller. But that's not
Yeah.
really, like, Android-based gaming. It's not like console stuff. You're making, like, a real handheld. You're making games for the 3DS, basically, but for this thing.
Yeah.
They won't really start getting good Android-based gaming until people just start making games that are based around working with a touchscreen well. Because people are trying to make games in genres that don't work well. You can't make a good action platformer on a touchscreen because you're either going to use virtual D-pad and joysticks and buttons, and that sucks, or you're going to use one button, like in Rayman Jungle Run or Jungle Legends or whatever the hell it's called, Jungle Temple or the Rayman running game where you press the screen and it does the only action in the game. So you're either going to make really simple stuff like that, or you're going to make a game that really works well with the, like, where the interface will work well with the input. So anything that's point and click based.
Yeah.
Where, like, the whole game, if it were on PC, would be mouse driven. so you can
Yeah.
make really good point-and-click adventure games, which I'm surprised people don't make more of.
Yeah, really.
Like The Walking Dead, I mean, I know that's on iOS and Android now, but that would have worked better like right away had it been released before everyone played it. But that's a game that would work because it's QTEs and point-and-click adventures. Management games where like SimCity would work really well. Roller Coaster Tycoon stuff would work really well. Theme Hospital, because that's awesome. Dungeon Keeper. Anything where you're zoning stuff off, but you're mostly doing it with the mouse. Anything that's like a mouse-driven game will work on a touchscreen. That's where people have to make
How
stuff
many
for.
of those are going to work on the Wii and a game stick?
None of them.
Big fat zero.
But no one makes them for Android games either, like for phones and stuff.
It's a casual market, and I don't think hardcore gaming system like a sit down on your couch, play video games for 4 hours is ever going to be able to work on Android.
No, they won't. But there's definitely core gamers who want to be able to like play Android games portably, like on their phone and stuff, that are real games, not like the Rayman game where you press one button, which surprisingly is probably the best game on iOS. So it's just like, why?
There's some okay games on iOS.
There are some.
I think
But
the genre that's actually being explored that should be on phones is the tower defense. That's the only one that's actually being or had enough development for phones.
you know what else would work really well? JRPGs. Because of the battle system.
Yep. Yeah, you just click on
true.
different options and things like.
And there are some.
There's a couple.
What is it? There's one that's on Android that's super popular. I think it's like Zenonia or something. I played the first one. It was pretty good.
Oh, that's a little different.
Why?
Zenonia, it's more like active combat.
I've played some good active combat games on iPhone actually with good swipe controls.
It's not bad.
Yeah, but like you're navigating through a menu, aren't you? Like to do combat.
No,
No?
not in Zenonia. But I mean, it could have been the first one. I played the third one, so maybe changed. But
The thing you're not considering though is swipe control based games. Like I think it's Infinity Blade or something. Is the Epic Games one. That one works really well, and that's a real-time action combat game. It's just the controls are very basic. It's like there's a dodge mechanic, and then there's different swipe mechanics. You have to like attack at the right angle and that sort of thing. And that works really well too. And that's not point-and-click based.
that's true.
That's I think what more people are exploring right now.
Yeah, but there's like a lack of depth in the mechanics. It's
Yeah, I
not.
know.
It doesn't like. Okay, that
It's all
game is
timing.
really good for an iOS game, but it's not a core game. Like
It's not a game you want to play on your Xbox, no.
no,
Definitely
but
not.
It doesn't have to be a game on your Xbox. It has to have depth, and that game doesn't have a lot of depth.
The only games with depth you're going to be able to find are management games and JRPGs
And
on iPhone.
and like point and click
Touch.
adventures because those are puzzle based games. But
Mhm.
I mean, like you're not. That game isn't like aimed at core gamers. I mean, it is, but for their phone, and it's not like a core game. But you can make core games on Android and iOS if you just started using the platform correctly. But people aren't interested in that because FPS and action games sell, and SimCity doesn't.
Which is just people not realizing what's actually fun to play on their phone, because you don't want fake joysticks on your phone. That shit barely works.
No, they don't. They don't work at all.
Like, you have, like, press a button on the screen to shoot. It's like, oh, good, now I can't move anymore because I'm shooting.
Yeah, it's stupid. And I like, during MLG, for whatever reason, during the stream, they're always showing off these stupid FPS games for phones. Like, hugely advertising them. Like, huge tie-ins with them. And they're like, this is the best FPS on a phone. And it's like, it's an FPS on a phone. It can't even be half okay.
No, that's definitely what the Shield is going to bring to the Android gaming scene. But at the same time, like, all of these Android devices for hardcore games can't utilize the games that already exist on Android, which is where the big issues come in.
Well, the
So-
Shield can because it's got the touchscreen, but I mean, it's gonna be
but
awkward as hell
it's
to use
awkward as fuck. Like, the only thing that could save that is if you could swivel the touchscreen around and then flatten it back down on top of the pad. Like,
Yeah,
the
but it might be
controller.
too thick to like reach
And
on
then-
top.
Just like hold it with your thumbs like this.
Yeah, but the controller might be
It
too
might be,
thick
yeah.
because that thing lays clamshell flat, like it lays flat the screen all the way down.
Yeah.
Because the controller's like dipped in, it might be
Yeah.
too thick to like get on top.
Yeah, for sure. But we can't really tell because we don't have one to try.
Yeah. I think
Um,
obviously that's the only one with any potential, and it's not because of being an Android gaming system. It's just because of exclusives, because it can be a real handheld.
It's because of exclusives, and it's because it's actually a useful piece of hardware. Like, I look at it and I can see, oh, that does some cool stuff. Whereas I look at the Ouya and I look at the Game Stick, and I'm like,
I'd like to see
would
the
I
screen
have to
on
buy
the
that?
Nvidia Shield a little bit bigger. Because it's only 5 inches. It could be 7, and I bet that they could still fit it on top. It would still be the size of the controller.
we'll see. I think the controller is actually quite small. I think the whole controller is like 7 inches across.
Yeah. Well,
So-
make it 7. Make the screen 7 inches diagonal, like it should be, and make it 720p.
I think you lose the. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out. We can
We'll
discuss
see,
that.
but still, I would enjoy it being slightly larger.
Yeah.
Because like a 5-inch screen is very small. I mean, this is 4. I don't hold this far away from me, but I'm also not gonna hold it like this close. I'm not gonna hold a controller this close to my face.
Yeah. I think 5 inches will work just based on the handhelds that I've used. You don't need that much screen space. Or that, yeah. So, I think that's not going to be an issue.
I don't know. I think the 3DS XL is getting pretty close to like 7.
Really?
Yeah, the XL, the screen's a little bigger. The resolution's the same, but the screen's a little bit bigger. I really like the 3DS XL. It's comfortable
Yeah.
because I got man hands.
Oh.
But
Woo!
I'd like to see more stuff in the handheld space, really. Like real proper handheld games and like handheld consoles, because like the 3DS is definitely a lot better than the Vita. It's probably the best handheld ever. But as someone who lives in North America, we don't get a lot of the games.
Yeah, I don't even.
We don't
I'm
get the
not
good stuff.
interested in the handheld market at all. It's just not worth my money to me. And the other issue I find lately with handhelds is they're not replaceable battery powered. Like, for me, my good days of using handhelds were like, I would go out camping and I would play fucking Pokemon on all the rainy days. So I'd be like playing Pokemon for
I
3
need to get
days straight.
3DS XL for
Aren't they
for X and
rechargeable?
Y. It is a rechargeable battery, but Pokemon XY, man. X
Yeah, I
and
know.
Y.
But the thing is, I don't have a way to
Like,
charge that. I mean, I know you can get them. You can charge it from a fucking car battery, but I used to just be able to bring like a pack of double A's and just
yeah,
pop them in.
they need to
the machine.
okay, there's no way to advance batteries. Like, we're done with batteries. What they need to do is everyone's been like focusing on making like small hardware more powerful, but like I think we're at the extent for that. Like, we're pretty much done. Let's just make it power efficient again so I can play for 6 hours.
It'd be nice. That's what ARM does.
Yeah.
That's ARM focus. Which is why the NVIDIA Shield has such a good battery life too, right? Because the new chip that they've come up with, is it Tegra 4?
Yeah, the Tegra 4.
Tegra 4.
The Tegra 3 is what my tablet runs off. My tablet runs for days.
Mhm. It's super power efficient, and at the same time, like, nothing that size is that powerful.
Yeah.
So it sucks zero battery for most things, and then it can render way more than any other chip that size can, and do way more,
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
which is a huge thing for NVIDIA. But I think that's all Android gaming has going for it, though, is that chip.
Yeah, pretty much. The Tegra 4 is like a very powerful chip that can do a lot of things. I mean, you see it in a lot of media centers and stuff. At least you see Tegra chips in a lot of media centers.
Yeah.
They're definitely doing the right thing with their mobile division, which is just making very powerful, very power efficient
Power
chips.
efficient chips. Yeah.
But you can get lots of stuff that has Tegra in it. I mean, this is probably going to be the first Tegra 4 device because there's nothing
the Shield,
Tegra 4 right now. But
well, I think we'll see like within a year of the Shield coming out, just tons of Tegra 4 tablets and just other options coming out with that same power. The only thing the Shield has going for it really is that it's designed as a handheld first and foremost, whereas everything else isn't.
So, if Tyler were here, I'd say we'd wrap up. Well, we're going to wrap up.
Yeah,
it just sucks that Tyler's not here to say goodbye with us.
Maybe he can come back in time. We can just go over kind of our conclusions quickly.
Oh, he's back. Hey, Tyler, we're wrapping up.
Okay.
What's your opinion on this Android thing, seeing as you haven't been here?
This Android thing? I don't know. I don't really have too much interest in handheld gaming. Just on a personal standpoint, because I'm usually in one spot for quite a while, and whenever I can play handheld games, I don't really get too much done. I think that what NVIDIA is doing seems pretty neat, and what Razer, what we were talking about, the Edge, seems like a very good idea, and there's a lot of potential there, but I don't know if there's like the market's right for it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, because the Edge sounds like it's what you said, like $1,200.
Yeah. Which is actually not a bad price for what it is, but the accessories are way too much. Yeah,
and hardware-wise, I get that, because I mean I've built PCs, I know how much stuff can cost, but at the same time, Razer's, I don't know, like, they're pushing for gaming, but it seems like
but people are looking at it as like a gaming tablet, but it's not a gaming tablet. It's a multi-purpose device. It's a laptop, it's a gaming device, and it's
a laptop,
like a tablet.
Right. Can you take those things off the side of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are.
Yeah, that's a case. It doesn't even come with it.
Oh, what?
For $1,200, you just get the tablet.
And then you said that was $300 for those controllers?
Yeah, and then you have to buy and then you have to buy like the Razer keyboard.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then tablet-wise, I mean, that seems interesting because I've like always considered getting a tablet. And what you said about the school purpose, I think that's a great idea. Because it's a pain in the ass having my desktop at home, my laptop up here, not having one unified like space to work on. And I think having that would be actually really helpful, especially in classes too, because it's more portable than a laptop and it's easier to handle.
And it's a touchscreen. You can actually write your notes out.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And it seems like
I don't know if it's resistive or capacitive. I hope it's.
I would
resistive.
love if you could use a stylus on it.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it's resistive and not capacitive. And because it's a laptop, it doesn't need to be capacitive, because like you can use your finger on it, but I mean the thing's not going to be bumping in like, you're not going to accidentally be touching the screen with the inside of your leg while you're walking down the street.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're thinking Android gaming is probably not the market to be investing in, but the NVIDIA Shield is actually a good device if it's marketed entirely as a portable gaming system.
Yeah, if it's marketed as a handheld that you can stream from your PC for when you're in the house, then it's a good device. Everything else is trash because that's not what they're marketing it as. They're marketing it as a gaming system, and it's not. They're marketing it as a console, and you can't take it with you. It's literally a console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
so that's
the
been
Steam Box.
Oh, the Steam Box.
We should go back to the Steam Box too. We're all excited for the Steam Box.
Yeah.
Microsoft Illumina Room is just silliness to us.
It's a gimmick. Doesn't make any sense.
And then NVIDIA Grid. Are we worried that's going to fail, or
they're not going to? Well, they just showed it off. They're not going to release it for several years, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Because they're not retarded. They understand that like there's no market for it, and there's not a lot of a market for it, and the places where it would work, like, okay, the people who would use it, it won't work for.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good concept, but there's not a market for it, and I feel like what we were talking about.
There's not the infrastructure for it yet.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like there's kind of a weird medium too, because if you do have a gaming system, then you're already playing games, and if you don't, then you really wouldn't be too interested in it. So
yeah, you would have no interest for it. The only people that it makes sense for are people who really want to play games at very high quality, but don't have like $2,000 to drop on a computer. And it's not even 2,000 anymore. I mean, because how long the console generation has lasted, it's been. I think I upgraded 3 years ago. I'm running 3-year-old hardware. I max everything that's thrown at me.
I'm running 2-year-old hardware. I max everything that's thrown at me without worry. Like I
Yeah,
can
and you don't even have
do more than
SLI.
that. Yeah,
I have SLI.
I've got one graphics card.
Yeah. Your computer wasn't even that expensive, was it? It was like $1,200.
I think it was a bit more than that.
Oh, because I
My
built
CPU
Cam
and
basically.
GPU were expensive, but the
Oh.
rest of it was like average.
I built Cam's computer a little bit after you built yours. Well, not a little bit, like half a year after. But I built it with like the same stuff, and it was $1,200.
Well, the reason mine was so expensive
With a
was
monitor,
I bought
and
a
Cam was
580 like
yeah,
right after they came out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cam was shitting his pants because I told him to get a 1080p monitor, and it was like $200 instead of the monitor that he was gonna get that was 720p. I was like, Cam, you don't understand how low resolution that is. Like, there's no point in building this computer to run games at 720p. I wanted to buy like
Anyways.
a $30 monitor with a 10 millisecond response rate and shit, and I was like, no, Cam, no.
It's deadly. Suicide.
Yeah. And I told him to get a good keyboard and mouse. Actually, I didn't tell him to get a good keyboard. I told him to get a good mouse, but he didn't have a keyboard. So he bought a good one. Well, he bought an okay one. It's a Thermaltake one. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. This has been the very first episode of the Dapper Gaming Podcast. I've been your host, Ryan, and with me have been Tyler and Jeffrey. And we'll see ya when we see ya.
Thanks for listening.